I call this meeting of the Conroe Independent School District Board of Trustees to order. Let the record show that a quorum of members is present, that this meeting has been duly called, and that notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. The time is 6 o'clock. If you'll please join us, Mr. Ray Sanders, with our invocation, and then our pledge will be led by Mr. Dayton Williams.
If you are so inclined, would you pray with me? Most loving God, we pray tonight that you would just send your Holy Spirit here to be with us. We pray for our leaders of our country, of our county, of our city, our state, all of our government. We pray that you would empower them with wisdom, with grace, and with mercy. Lord, we ask that you would bless Conroe ISD, all of our teachers, staff, administrators, students, taxpayers, anyone that comes into our meetings. We pray that they would leave a better person. Father, we pray for this board that you would give us wisdom, understanding, mercy, and grace to do the will of the district as you see. Lord, thank you for this time of the year that we can pause to be thankful and grateful for all that we have been given, all of the blessings we have received. We honor you and we praise you for what you have done, and we ask that you would continue to bless us as a nation. We ask all these things in the name of our Lord and Savior. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag.
I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. You may be seated. All right, we'd like to move on to item 2, our awards and recognitions. I'm going to call just a bit of an audible, and we're going to start with item B, special district recognition. Recognition. That's a slip on my part. Yeah. No, Ms. Herndon, you are not resigning from anything, but
That's right.
Our hometown hero from the Interfaith of the Woodlands.
All right. To help make our introductions tonight, Ms. Sarah Blakelot.
We are resigned to being an amazing school district. There we go. So it is my pleasure tonight, President Hubert, members of the board, and Dr. Knoll, to come before you again for another wonderful accomplishment for the district. Conroe ISD was recently named a hometown hero by Interfaith of the Woodlands, and this is truly a reflection of your leadership, Dr. Knoll's leadership, and the amazing efforts of our staff and employees. And so I would like to introduce Missy Herndon, President and CEO of Interfaith of the Woodlands, to share more about this outstanding recognition.
Thank you very much, Sarah. And thank you, Board President Hubert, as CISD Board of Trustees, and Dr. Knoll for the opportunity to come share this absolutely wonderful news. As the President and CEO of Interfaith of the Woodlands, I get the great pleasure of representing the Hometown Heroes Selection Committee. The tradition of Hometown Heroes began in 1999 during the celebration of the 25th anniversary of the Woodlands. Each year, the selection committee, made up of Hometown Heroes representing multiple generations, honored from 1999 to 2022, come together to review the nominations from the community of individuals and organizations who meet the criteria of Hometown Hero. Criteria for the selection of Hometown Heroes include serving as a positive role model, having a history of volunteerism, sacrificing personal gain to achieve noble goals, exhibiting leadership and courage, and embodying the values of the Woodlands community, as well as creating great impact in the greater Woodlands area. This year, 4 individuals, a couple, and 2 organizations have been named to the distinguished list of heroes, each recognized in a unique way for the lasting impact that they have made on our community. We are very excited to announce Conroe Independent School District has been chosen as the organization Hometown Hero for 2023. Additionally, CISD Board of Trustee Teresa Wagaman has also been chosen as an individual Hometown Hero for 2023. You all will officially join 146 other distinguished individuals, businesses, and organizations as Hometown Hero honorees during our annual The Woodlands Celebration of Excellence Gala to take place on Friday, March 31st of 2023. We look forward to recognizing both CISD and Teresa for your many contributions to the community that you each have demonstrated the exemplary leadership, and the dedication to preserving Mr. George P. Mitchell's vision for the Woodlands community. Thank you and congratulations. And on one final note, knowing that this is Ray Sanders' last meeting for CISD, I would be quite remiss if I did not share. Ray has actually been on Interfaith of the Woodlands Board for many, many years. He served as board chair, as ex officio, as advisor, as our advisor, board of advisors, and is currently just completed several years term as our Interfaith Community Clinic board chairman, and will move into an ex officio role and then repeat. Is my hope. I just cannot say goodbye to Ray Sanders. We, on behalf of Interfaith, thank you for your incredible service to Conroe ISD and our community and our students. Thank you, Ray. And congratulations.
Want to take all of us for the picture?
So Missy, don't just run off that. I was just told I needed to speak. So we just want to say on behalf of Conroe ISD, thank you for this recognition on behalf of the board. We just want to say we appreciate it. We believe in Conroe ISD. It is a great school district, and we thank Interfaith and the hometown heroes. And we also want to especially acknowledge our own board member, Teresa Wagman, and for her, all that she's done in the Woodlands. So thank you very much.
Very good. Thank you, Ray. Thank you, Missy. We appreciate that. It is quite an honor. When we were there the other night and saw the other folks, and we just have a wonderful community. There's a lot of people that do a lot of great things, and it's really nice to be acknowledged with those group of people as well. So thank you again. Moving on to item A, which is a National Merit Scholarship semifinalist, which is a great accomplishment for our district as well, for our students. So,
All right, we have
Turn it
Dr.
over
Chris
to Mr.
Povich, Assistant Superintendent for High Schools.
President Hubert, members of the Board of Trustees, and Dr. Knoll. Tonight we would like to honor and congratulate a very special group of students. In October 2021, over 1.5 million juniors in more than 22,000 high schools across the United States took the preliminary SAT National Merit Scholarship Qualifying Test, which we often call the PSAT. Based upon their scores on this test, students are identified and honored through the National Merit Scholarship Competition. Tonight, we are recognizing the Conroe ISD seniors who have met the requirements to be named a National Merit semifinalist. National Merit semifinalists are the top 1% of high school seniors in their respective states who took the PSAT as a junior and will have the opportunity to continue in the competition for scholarships. Only 7 states had a higher cut point than Texas to determine their 1% of high school seniors that qualified as a semifinalist. Essentially, most of these students would be in the top 1% of the nation. Nationally, of the approximately 16,000 semifinalists, about 15,000 will be named as National Merit finalists and be eligible for approximately 8,000 or more scholarships worth more than $30 million to be awarded in the spring. We are very proud of the students with us tonight for their academic accomplishments. While we are honored to say that our teachers and staff have played an important role in this accomplishment, we would certainly be remiss not to recognize the importance of so many other people who have played equally important parts. First and foremost, the guidance and support that students receive from home is the cornerstone of success on which schools are able to build. The opportunities that parents have provided their children over the years are the key ingredients to academic success. Parents, thank you for being here tonight to celebrate this very special accomplishment. and for the support you give to our schools in working with your children. If you are a parent of a semifinalist, please stand and let us recognize you.
And our grandparents.
Students, thank you for the commitment that you have made towards academic excellence. The lessons that you have learned that have allowed you to be here tonight will serve you well throughout your life and provide you with the same type of success you have experienced. At this time, it is my pleasure to introduce our Coordinator of Guidance and Counseling, Mamie Prejean, who will introduce our National Merit semifinalists. Students, please come forward when you are introduced.
Laura Bauer. Emmy Bruno. Deborah Chu. Nicholas DeTiro. Andrew Goin. Emlyn Janik. Lena Jurek. Reagan Kendrick. Faith Leo. Travis McKenna. Brooke McMullen. Sohi Patel. Jack Pittenger. Andrew Schwartz. Daniel Shamsi. David Udo. And Jorge Shakur.
Congratulations to each and every one of you. Just looking at all of your faces, I could be looking at the next school board member. I could be looking at the next president of a Fortune 500 company, or I could be looking at the next president of the United States. I'm not sure what you all are going to do next, but I know whatever it is, it's going to be something fantastic. And I can't wait to see what it is. I want to say congratulations to each and every one of your parents, because I know that at this moment and the moment at the end of the year that you all will be beaming as they cross the stage, just as you're beaming now. And so enjoy the end of the year and continue to do really, really good work. We can't wait to see where you go next. Congratulations.
Squeeze in, squeeze in, squeeze in.
And then we'll also wait for all parents.
That's right.
Okay. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3.
This is what you're gonna do the next 6 months of your life, just get used to it. Smile a lot. Joke. A lot of pictures already, you kick that over. Get it? What is your name?
Thank you guys so much. Let's turn around here.
All right, she's our line leader. Everybody's following her. Remember, here, come this way. Here, come this way. Here we go. Right here. Congratulations. Congratulations. Congratulations to you. Congratulations to you. Congratulations to you.
Congratulations again.
Congratulations to you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations to you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations to you. Congratulations to you. Congratulations. Congratulations to you. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Congratulations to you. Congratulations. Hey, congratulations to you. Congratulations to you. Congratulations. Seniors. Took the test when they were juniors. They're seniors.
That's awesome. Yeah, congratulations once again.
Yeah.
Ms. Wagman, there was no Wagmans, Huberts, or Williams called today, so I don't think they have, they'll probably be next board members. They might be something more. But we are awfully proud of them. We wish them well. We wish them well, yeah. Great job.
Don't be like us.
All right, moving on to item C, special board recognition for Mr. Dale Inman.
All right, I want to move up here if I can. Yeah, just wait a second. I do want to note these kids, like, you know, I gave them directions only one time about how to make their, like, go through and exit, and they hit that perfect. Like, they got those directions down really well, how to get out. So, we're thankful for anyone that volunteers and gives time to be a school board member. It is truly a very difficult job. Doesn't come with a lot of kudos. It certainly doesn't come with any financial compensation. So I believe it's one of the greatest ways that you can serve your community, is to be on a school board. And so anytime that we have an opportunity to thank a school board member as they're coming off the board, we want to take that opportunity to do so. So tonight, I'm going to ask Mr. Dale Inman to come up and join me, if you would. So Mr. Inman has served since 2018, so 4 years on the board, and I just want to say to you, thank you for giving your time. And on a personal note, what I want to say is you've gone out of your way to be kind to me personally when you didn't have to. I appreciate, you know, the texts or the phone calls just during the week to say you're thinking about us, being prayerful for our students, prayerful for me and my leadership, and for our staff. That's meant a lot, and appreciate the conversations that you have had on our behalf with some other circles that you run in, and certainly we appreciate that as you've attempted to help spread the message of what's going on here, and we thank you for your time. We know you're busy and you have your hat in a lot of different rings, and you'll go off and be busy doing those things, but we thank you for your time here. Congratulations. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. It's been a roller coaster. If you've been here for 4 years, you know that. I just want to say thank you so much for the opportunity, and I wish a couple more of my motions would have had seconds, but sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But in any event, I really think it's a great set of people up here. As in any group, you all don't agree all the time, but everyone up here I think is a quality individual, and I have a lot of respect and admiration for every one of the board members up here. Also for Dr. Knoll and Sarah and Chief, wherever you are, and everyone else, I just want to say thank you so much. It's been a real honor serving this community. And I've lived a lot of different places. Conroe is my home. I love this place. And it's not just the temperature so much as it's the people here. So everyone that's here tonight, thank you so much. God bless you, and God bless Conroe ISD. Thank you. Is there a pie board? Is there one of those?
No pie. Comes with the rest of the meeting, though.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, that's the gift. The gift that keeps on giving.
Thank you very much.
So up next, we're going to go to Mr. Sanders. No problem.
Yeah, I wanted to say something personally before you go to Mr. Sanders. There was, when I first came on, and back in 2016, 2016, I was here. I served for probably 2 or 3 meetings, and then I got this phone call. I don't know if you remember that or not, but I got this phone call and said, "Hey, Skeeter, let's go grab some lunch." So I said, "All right, let's go grab some lunch, Mr. Sanders." And in so many ways, in so many words, we had a great lunch. And during that time, you were very professional. But basically, what you were telling me, what I got out of it, maybe that's not what you're trying to say. What I got out of it was, you need to be better prepared for these meetings. And I want you to know I took that to heart. And I started doing a little bit more homework and studying our board book that gets put out and asking questions ahead of time and being a little bit more prepared for that. And for some reason, I felt like you were a mentor for me. And it's not just here, Ray. I've known you, and I've been watching you serve in this community since I got here and started getting involved back in 2003. I moved out here in '97, and like I said, I've seen you in this community, and it's just been a real honor to get to serve with you, to take advice from you, and just get to work alongside with you. I really appreciate you taking me under your wing and helping me. And I don't know if you meant to do that or not, but that's certainly how I saw it. And the whole time while you were up here, I never once saw you do anything out of anything other than just thinking of the students and the community first. And that meant something to me, and I wanted you to know that. And I wanted the rest of the people to know the things that you do behind the scenes, that you don't ask for recognition, you don't look for it, you don't seek for it. It's never been about Ray Sanders. It's always been about the love you have for our community and for people and for students and for their success. And so I appreciate that, Ray. So thank you very much for being who you are. Appreciate it.
I'm going to take up a little bit more of your time here, Ray, before we send you off. First of all, thank you. Thank you for an outstanding job, an outstanding service. You've been on the board since I've been on the board. I've been on the board for 10 years now, and it's been an honor and a pleasure to get to know you personally, to get to know you, understand your heart for kids, your heart for what's right, and just being that honorable, upstanding guy. You know, it's a rarity that you find someone who's has all those characteristics, and you exude each and every one of those. You're honorable. You do what's in the best interest of the kids. You put self aside. You're selfless when it comes to your time. You're extremely prepared for every meeting. You show up, and folks can see the genuine, heartfelt love that you have for the administration, the teachers, the kids, and it's just telling, and it sets the example for any future board member of how to conduct themselves and how to just be a person of service. So I really appreciate that. Can't say that enough, how it was an honor to serve with you. And oftentimes I try to mimic what would Ray Sanders do in certain situations. I wish I had the patience and the temperament that you exude on an ongoing basis. So thank you. And I know on behalf of the school district, if they all had the opportunity, I think each and every one would come up and give you a big hug and say thank you for the service and job well done. So thank you, Ray. It's been an honor, been a pleasure, and I hope to see more of you in the community, man.
You will.
Thank you.
If I could, just momentarily, I have not had that much time to serve alongside Ray, but for the time that I have had, it has been an incredible honor. Ray, here on the dais as well, off the dais, has been a wonderful leader. He has been one who has given guidance, who has been willing to give explanation and background to somebody that is learning and trying to do their best. And it would be my honor to continue to emulate him in all of his works. And so I thank you for your service and for your wonderful leadership. So thank you.
Thank you, Teresa. Appreciate that.
All right, well, I ask Mr. Sanders to come up and join me here. So when we talk about that of giving of time, so Mr. Sanders has served 12 years on this board. So certainly a lot of time. And we'll talk a little bit about the character, but I want to talk to you a little bit about the expertise that he has brought to the school district as well that may go somewhat unnoticed, but it's super appreciated. When you think about the school district and the things that we cherish most, number one, we cherish children. We cherish our employees, and we want to make sure that they're always well and taken care of. And you think about the last 12 years, but just think about the last 4 years in particular and all of the conversations about mental health and how important it's become and the advances that we have made in mental health care in Conroe ISD. That's in no small part because we have a licensed professional counselor that has sat on our board and has advocated for the need for mental health services and has asked the hard questions related to what we offer and pushed us to make decisions to reach out and do more. And so we will miss having a licensed professional counselor on our school board. And then you think about the second thing that we work hard to protect, and that's our tax dollars. And you think about our finance committee and our audit committee, and we have been fortunate to have a chair of that committee that is also one of the most distinguished and well-respected bankers, not only in Montgomery County, but across the state. And to have that level of expertise here at our disposal to lead those committees, to be a resource for Mr. Rice and his team, to be able to have conversations, that's expertise that we've all appreciated. And I've appreciated being able to call you and ask those questions as I've learned it as well. But well beyond the expertise, as folks have talked about, is the character. You know, you have mentored many, some in a professional capacity as a licensed professional counselor, mentoring our own counselors in our buildings to help them advance their career, but from the work that you've done, bringing up school board members, to bringing up superintendents, to all of us here in the district. You are a man that we look up to. And as Mr. Williams mentioned, that we all wish that we would have the patience and the grace that you have. And in every way, the biggest compliment that I can give you is the same compliment that I've always given you as I refer to you to anyone that ever brings your name up. Sir, you are a gentleman. And we respect you.
So I'm a graduate of Sam Houston State University.
Yes, sir.
I have 2 degrees from Sam Houston. I'm real proud of that. My mother graduated from there. I'm proud of that. But the motto at Sam Houston State University is the value of a life is in its service. And that's what I try to do. I was raised by a single mother who was a school teacher. And school teachers, you know what you get paid. Imagine a mother who got paid state minimum and raised 3 kids on her own. I value a public education. I value knowing that a dollar can get stretched a long way, because my mom taught me that. But I had a grandfather who was a public administrator. He was a coach, and he was a math teacher, and he became a superintendent of schools at a time when Texas was integrating. And his life was threatened to the point that FBI agents lived in his home for a period of time because of his life being threatened. And I learned some things from him that I can never forget. One of the things he taught me was that your word matters. And I hope that my word still matters, because I believe in Conroe ISD. I believe that we have a great public school system in Conroe ISD, and I've been proud to serve on the board of this district for the past 12 years. And I appreciate everyone's support over these past 12 years, and I appreciate my fellow board members, both present and past as well. I've learned, as Skeeter stated, I've learned from valuable school board members too. One of them sitting in the room back there, Linda Sasser. I remember the very first time I was so nervous because I said, we were voting on rezoning schools, and parents are going to be mad. And Mrs. Sasser said, Ray, in 2 weeks, the kids are going to be having the same friends they had, and everything's going to be great and happy. And once the kids are happy, the parents will be happy. And that's exactly what happened. So wisdom comes not just from me. I got it from someone else. It isn't mine, but it is mine to pass along. And so the last thing I would say is I don't need a lot of recognition. I don't do this for praise or glory. I only do it because I care. And I have a heart for our district. I have a heart for our taxpayers. I have a heart for this county, this community. And I hope that we will each look in our own hearts and do the best we can for others. It doesn't matter to me what color you are. It doesn't matter to me your age. It doesn't matter to me your status in life. It just matters if you have a heart for people. And if you have a heart for people, you'll always be in good shape. So on behalf of everything that was said, thank you. I appreciate it very much, and I've been proud to serve. Thank you.
If you don't mind, we'll go ahead and take a little 5-minute recess, and we'll be back at 6:37. All right, we are back in session. Time is 6:38. Moving on to item 3, which is our citizen participation, and I believe we have some people signed up tonight. Do we need to wait? No. Okay, very good. Please keep in mind that while the meeting is held in public forum, the purpose of the meeting is for the Board of Trustees to conduct business of the district. In accordance with the Texas Open Meeting Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551, and Board Policy BED, if a patron during the public comments addresses an issue that is on tonight's posted agenda, the board will defer its discussion of this issue until the item is reached on the agenda. For any issue that is not on the board's posted agenda, the board cannot and will not deliberate or make a decision related to that issue. Speakers who have signed up to address the board during the public comment must make all comments to the Board of Trustees and not the audience. The board has specific policies under which the board considers complaints. If your purpose is to seek some type of remedy, the board cannot discuss or respond to your concern until you have met the requirements of the appropriate district policy. Accordingly, the board will not hear complaints or derogatory comments about individual students or staff during public comment. Information about how to file a complaint is located on the district's website. The board expects that everyone in attendance will conduct themselves respectfully, regardless of whether they agree or disagree with the speaker's message. Interrupting speakers or this meeting will not be tolerated. To ensure that the board can efficiently conduct the district's business. Each of the speakers who have registered to address the board will be given 3 minutes to present their comments. Each speaker's time will be displayed on the screen around the room. When the countdown timer reaches 0, the next speaker will be called. Ms. Godfrey, will you please call our first speaker?
Holly Moore. Good evening, President Hubert, members of the board, and Dr. Knoll. My name is Holly Tatro Moore. I'm the parent of 2 children here in CISD, a first grader and a 4th grader. I'm also a former Conroe ISD teacher. However, I'm currently finishing my doctorate in educational leadership and have transitioned into higher education, working in educator preparation programs and educational research. However, you really never stop being a teacher, so on the days I'm not on campus, I still come back to sub. I was subbing in a 4th grade classroom this past week, and there was a sign next to the door that said, "Before you leave this class, always remember, I love you, you matter, you can do anything, and I believe in you." And that message really resonated with me. Our staff pour so much of themselves into our students and into our children. Education is currently, public education particularly, is currently in the midst of a crisis as we experience an educator shortage. Here in Texas alone, TEA has reported that student growth has increased 8.6% over the past 10-year span of time, and here in Conroe, we've experienced that at a much higher rate. We also know that teacher retention rates have been steadily declining. Again, through TEA data, we know that as of 2021, within 5 years of completing an educator certification, about 60% of our alternatively certified teachers and 70% of our traditionally certified teachers remain in education, meaning we're losing 30 to 40% of our teachers each year at a rate that we're not matching coming into educator preparation. The Charles Butt Foundation recently released results of their 3rd annual Texas Teacher Poll. Researchers reported a staggering 77% of current teachers in the state of Texas have considered leaving the field of education altogether. Here in Conroe ISD, I know there have been conversations and there are staff currently wondering if this is a place where they belong. When I think back to that sign that I mentioned earlier hanging in that 4th grade classroom, I think of all the things that these educators and school staff do for our students. And I can't help but think that if we want to retain them, shouldn't we pour some of that support back into our staff? So to you, to our board, thank you for everything you did the past few years, moving us through an unprecedented time in public education. To our child nutrition staff, our custodial staff, our maintenance crews, nurses, counselors, our coaches, both those instructional and athletic, to our fine arts teachers, our special education assessment staff, to that unsung group of heroes, our paraprofessionals and secretaries who really keep the world running, to our librarians, to our administrators, and especially to our teachers, thank you for everything. I feel bad that it's taken me so long to find my voice, because I think from a community perspective, we need to show up, we need to stand up, and we need to support our staff. I don't believe you deserve much of what has been said or suggested about you or about the district in the past several months or the past year. I think that a lot of hurtful things have been said, and our staff is so much more than the comment section of a social media page. And I hope that our staff know that they matter, that they belong, and that we see them. So thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Nicole Gilgery. Nicole Guillory. Brooke McMullen. Emily Kress.
Hi, I don't normally talk in front of adults, so I'm a little nervous. First, I want to make sure someone stood up here tonight and thanked Ray. I want to thank you for the service on this board. I grew up watching my father serve on the local school board for 18 years, and I know how hard it is to do this job. So thank you for always respecting and trusting educators. I am sad to see you go. I've been a teacher for 13 years, and I've never felt more love and support from parents, fellow teachers, and admin than I have since coming to Conroe ISD. I come to school every day and greet my students at the door with love. I work hard every day to not only teach them math, science, and social studies, but I teach them how to be an amazing part of our classroom community. Being an educator is tough, and now more than ever, we need support. We need to change the narrative at board meetings moving forward. I want to come and join online and hear conversations about amazing teachers, students, and other staff that make this district one of the best. I love my job. Teaching children is a passion of mine, and I will never let anyone take that away from me. I also want to make sure and take the time to thank you, Dr. Knoll. I know this district is huge, but the few times I have met you, you've always made me feel welcome and supported. You're an amazing leader, and I want to thank you for that. So to all the people that stand in front of me right now, I want to thank you. You have no idea how much your support means to myself and my fellow educators. So thank you.
Thank you.
Erin Bingham. Erin Bingham.
Hi, don't love following that. So my name is Erin Bingham. I have 3 kids in the Snyder Elementary School, so I have 10 years left as a Conroe ISD parent. First and foremost, Ray, thank you. We blew it. I don't know how this happened. Everything you've done, we appreciate you more than you will know. So I think a lot about when Grant's parents came to speak after he passed, and they talked about how the district is so large and we've kind of lost our ability to hone in on individual kids. And it resonated with me, and especially as the school year started in our current capacities. And I've seen my kids kind of get lost in the shuffle a couple times, and both times they were pulled out by teachers who advocated and kind of let me know that they loved my kids and had their back as much as I would. And so I think that we all know, resonated with what they said, and we can all agree with what they said. I think as the parents, the educators, the district employees, and you guys, we all can work together to kind of right this ship, and we're on the cusp and making sure that we go in the right direction. We have been asleep at the wheel the past couple years, and it's your fault, because you guys built this great district where we didn't have to worry and we didn't have to necessarily pay attention. And we're paying attention now, and we're engaged, and we're here to work with you guys to kind of make sure that the district remains the great district that it is. Dr. Knoll, it is a massive district, but every time I have reached out to you, because I have rage emailed you like every other parent in this district, you always respond incredibly quickly and with empathy and respect, and you always make me feel heard while being very professional. And it is a skill, and that culture has resonated within your leadership team. All of them that I have reached out to and spoken to, interacted with, act like this is a tiny district of 300 kids, and that is very much a testament to you, and we appreciate you. Your staff appreciates you. So stick with us, and you've had a rough go with COVID and all of this, but we've got your back. And to you guys on the board, we appreciate you. It's been a rough 4 or 5 years being a school board member with everything happening. You guys know what's important. You know what the issues are. We know what the issues are. We are engaged. We want to work with you and find solutions to these problems, and thank you for everything you do. And Skeeter, it is great to see you up there for 2 more years.
Alex Harris.
Dear board and school leadership. Today I want to talk about the Texas law on harmful and obscene materials that is present in the schools. And, you know, I've looked at this article by Dr. David Perry, and he talks about what porn can do to children. And he goes to the extent, he says, when they get hooked on porn, they can even has the same effect as drugs on their brain cells. And that's how destructive it is. Now, the law, we have a law that, when we talk about sexual materials, we're not talking about just one type, whether it is homosexual or heterosexual, either one is not at the minor level. It's not applicable at the minor level. And I've been an online counselor, and there have been so many young people who get hooked on it and want to get out of it. No one ever gets into it and says, oh, that's a good thing. And trying to live some kind of a lifestyle. And so when we look at some of the materials that are in the school, and I really thank you. When I raised the reconsideration request for the Handmaid's Tale, you promptly removed it. And I don't know whether it was my request or you were already under consideration, because I was told by Ms. Heiser that you changed your policy and you are looking at all the materials that is there. So I really thank you for that. And I think it was just timely on my part when I submitted my reconsideration request. One thing disturbs me though. When I asked, how was this book introduced into the schools? There was no records. Now, we cannot have an open border policy on books coming in. It's not for us. Like most of the time, it's the children who discover these books and bring it to everyone's attention. We cannot have that. So I really encourage you to change that policy. Yes, there's so much materials out there. But when they come into the schools, someone has to review it, and someone has to approve it, and the records have to be maintained. So we know who has approved such materials. So that's the main thing I want to stress tonight, that please, when you introduce a book, have somebody, it has to be recorded. It has to be reviewed. Because our schools must be a safe zone for children, that we can remove all harmful and obscene materials. And the law is quite clear, because it defines it, and I don't have to read it out. Because these things, even though it is not hardcore pornography, they trigger prurient interest, which then leads to pornography. So I just encourage you on that. So please monitor all materials coming in. Thank you.
Thank you.
Marisol Vasquez.
Hi. My name is Marisol Vasquez. I am a current student at Conroe.
Can you bring that mic
Oh,
down right
sorry.
there?
Okay. My name is Marisol Vasquez. I am a current student at Conroe High. First, I just wanted to say thank you for all your work, and all that you do is greatly appreciated, and I'm sure it's like quite stressing. I know I'm only a high school student, but I'm here to advocate for Anderson Elementary. This school is where I started, and it's like I've always loved it because of the environment and the people in there. But recently, sometimes I go in there to eat lunch with my little brother, or like to accompany him on school nights, and I noticed that it's like concerning to see floor tiles taped up with duct tape. And I noticed there's like different types of tiles on there, not even the same ones. At first I thought it was like constructions going on there, but then I noticed like it never changed. And I thought, I don't know, I just thought it was normal, but now I'm like, okay. So it's kind of sad to see your childhood school to be taped up and floors with duct tape. And I'm guessing children see it as normal, but there is nothing normal about a taped up school with different types of tiles. I don't think Anderson Elementary deserves to have taped up floor or anything, and I know Anderson Elementary has done a lot for its people, and I think they deserve a nice floor. I know that the students and stuff might think it's normal, but I think it's kind of like sad to like not have a nice floor. I don't think the little kids deserve it. So I just wanted to say that the floor is taped up. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good job.
Paul Lazowski.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, she did a good job.
It's a hard name. Can I raise this up?
No, go ahead.
Thank you, Shooter.
my life. Good evening. Thank you all for the work you do. Thank you, Mr. Sanders, for your dedication to this community. Thank you, Dr. Knoll. And I appreciate the opportunity to come. This is actually my first time to speak to this board. I've watched y'all many a time, sometimes through that camera, or the one that's over here somewhere. And I came here tonight finally because I have gotten angry and frustrated with the rhetoric and the stories that I've heard at this podium. And then I calmed down when I heard some of the wonderful things that people have said this evening when they're coming up to this microphone. As a constituent of this district, and a father of 4 children who attend Conroe ISD schools, I worry about what this board might become. I understand 3 of these seats will be vacated and replaced by an ideology that readily dehumanizes people and spreads misinformation and clings to bigoted ignorance. I've watched a parade of speakers at this podium for months and months, including state representatives, demonizing parents, teachers, you, administrators, and even children who just want to be who they are, making false claims that this board has had to correct with statements of fact. And while I was once ready to dismiss this ideology as nonsense, as laughable, I recall one gentleman who referred to face masks as satanic face diapers, if I recall, which I feel very sorry for his dental hygienist. But whereas it once was a source of humor, I recognize that soon there is a movement that will be representing this community that does not represent me. They will sit on this board, they will ban books, they will demonize citizens, and they will tout so-called biblical values while conveniently ignoring the wealth of violence, rape, and genocide and misogyny that exists in that book. This ideology uses catchy buzzwords picked from their select news outlets and local pastors who disregard the Johnson Amendment. Words like woke and critical race theory and grooming with limited understanding of what those words mean. They have not read the multitude of scientific studies that defeat their claims. I'm an engineer. I care about facts and data. But in their worldview, books are somehow the epicenter of all societal woes. Somehow a book is more menacing than a loaded gun. A book creates mental illness. A book creates gender dysphoria. A book creates sexual abuse and human trafficking. A book creates taped floors, perhaps, of schools. This board is slowly being usurped by a movement, and I plead to you trustees who will remain, to the constituents of Conroe ISD who hold reason over rhetoric, do not suspend critical thinking in deference to antiquated superstition. The well-being of my children and all of our children depend on you. Thank you.
Stuart Schroeder.
Good evening, President Hubert, members of the board, Dr. Knoll. I just wanted to take a brief moment to thank Ray Sanders for his 12 years of service to the Conroe ISD as a school board trustee. Mr. Sanders embodies the characteristics what I believe a great school board member should be. He is dependable, knowledgeable, caring, and compassionate. His professional financial background was truly an asset to the district in areas of the complex Texas public school finance. Ray seldom missed a school board meeting, and Mr. Sanders truly cared for the Conroe Independent School District, the taxpayers, students, and the staff. His talents will be truly missed, and I wish him all the best. Thank you, Ray.
Thank you, Steve.
Carrie Freemeyer. Carrie Freemeyer.
Let me put my second eyes on. President Hubert, members of the board, and Dr. Knoll. My name is Carrie Freemeyer. I am a City of Conroe resident and native. I am a taxpayer and an employee of Conroe ISD for now 25 years. For those of you that do not know, I am also the local president of TSTA Conroe. Our organization, Texas State Teachers Association, has passionately supported public school education for decades. As one of our many contributions to Conroe ISD, we host the annual Salute to Education ceremony. Mark your calendars now. This year it will be held on May 4th, 2023. We welcome the members of our Conroe ISD School Board to attend and show their support for all honored employees of our amazing district and those who have shown great commitment and dedication to our students, our schools, and our staff. I, on behalf of TSTA Conroe, want to congratulate and welcome the new trustees to the board. I know they're not getting sworn in until later this week, and I thought they would be here in attendance, but they are not. I hope and pray, those new members of the board, that you set aside your personal agendas and focus on the important matters at hand, ensuring the continued achievements of our Conroe ISD public schools. TSTA Conroe looks forward to building relationships and communicating with each one of you on the board. Together, our focus and intentions should be to enhance the success of all our students and the district as a whole, and providing the most positive, safe learning environment for all our diverse students, making Conroe ISD the best district in the state of Texas. Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie.
Charlotte Burnett. Charlotte Burnett.
Oh, she coming? Okay.
To need some glasses. I'd like to say good evening to everyone. Well, I can't really now, but you can hear me.
We got you. Yeah.
Okay. It is with honor and pleasure to be able to speak today in regards to Conroe Independent School District. I am so glad to be and proud to be a former employee, a former student, a former parent, and now grandmother of such a district that has grown and has proven that great things do come from Conroe Independent School District. Thank you, Dr. Knoll, for continuing the changes that have been implemented and ensuring the community that you don't care just about a selective group of people, but you care about each and every family and individual who is represented on here today. Diversity and opportunities of moving up the career ladder to those who seek change and drive to give more of themselves are available. Our community of staff, from administration to every teacher, every aide, and every staff member, has played an important role of our families, making sure our children receive quality education, teachers who care, and it has been spoken that a person exemplifies their leader, and I believe that they have shown that great leadership in you, Dr. Knoll, and more. I can travel around the district and see the great example that makes our district stand out from others. CISD, you rock. No matter what anyone tells you, you rock. Keep up the good work. Keep loving our children and keep investing in creating great people of our community that keeps making a difference. From a roaring Conroe Tiger parent of a former student, now a teacher at CISD, where excellence thrives on Excellence Avenue, where my grandchild is attending. Also at the All-Star Anderson School, the Travis Timberwolves. From my family to yours, thank you, Dr. Knoll, and your team for all you do for your outstanding leadership. I want to say thank you.
All right, thank you to all those who participated. We appreciate your remarks. Moving on to item 4, which is our consent agenda. I haven't heard from anybody to pull anything out, so do we?
Mr. President, I move that we accept the consent agenda as presented.
All right, we have a motion. Motion is second. Any discussion? Hearing none. We still have a quorum. All those in favor, show by uplifted hand. Any opposed by the same sign? Motion carries. Very good. Item 4A, which is administration. So consider approval of attendance zone for intermediate schools in the Caney Creek High School feeder zone.
Oh, Mr. President, could we move up?
We can't, if you want to.
Okay, yeah, that's perfectly fine. It's been suggested to move item 6 up, which is item A, which is name Director of Federal Programs. Turn that over to Dr. Null.
All right, well, thank you very much. We've reached that season of the year where we get to celebrate folks that are retiring, but with those retirements, it creates opportunity for people to advance their career and move into new roles, and that's what we will do here this evening as we name the Director of our Federal Programs. Dr. Pam Zoda is retiring, and she's done a great job in this position, and I want to just tell you a little bit about what this position does, because it really catches a lot of different areas. It serves to keep us in compliance in many ways with different grants and expectations from the state through waiver processes. At the same time, it manages a lot of money. All of the title programs that come through the school district often go through that department as well. So this is a position that requires somebody that is meticulous in their record keeping and their ability to keep track of what's going on, but also is supremely ethical and knows the right way to do things. And we are fortunate that we have a person within our school district that meets all of those criteria. And in her over 10 years here in the school district, she's had a variety of jobs, including coordinating our assessment, all of our state testing. So we know the meticulous nature that goes through that, and also the ethical requirements. And most recently working with our CTE departments to make sure that our CCMR scores are great, and you're going to see a report about the great work that she's done in that department here in just a bit. But it is really my pleasure tonight to recommend Ms. Dana Boyer to assume the role of Director of Federal Programs.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
So moved, Mr. President.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, any discussion? All right, I'll call the vote. All those in favor show by the uplifted hand. Opposed by the same sign. Motion carries. Congratulations.
President Hubert, members of the board, and Dr. Null. I do not take the responsibilities of this position lightly, and I stand before you both humble and blessed to be afforded this opportunity. I am appreciative to have worked with and learned from many individuals within Conroe ISD, and many are sitting in this room today, all who are champions for students. I pledge to serve in this role with full dedication and commitment to our great district. Joining me here tonight are my husband, Jason, our children, Ella and Brock, who are both CISD students, and my mother-in-law, Diane. My mom is also watching at home in Louisiana via YouTube. This accomplishment is as much yours as it is mine, for you have shown me unconditional love and much grace. I love you more.
Oh, everybody.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Good job.
All right, moving on to item B, which is the naming of our new deputy superintendent, Dr. Knoll.
So, you know, as Ms. Boyer just found out, it's hard to come to that podium and speak when you're looking this way. When you turn around and look at those people that you love, boy, it's hard to. That's the moment. That's congratulations to Ms. Boyer, and once again, as we've talked about with Dr. Hines' retirement that is coming upon us, we want to look to make the smoothest transition possible moving forward. I want to talk just a bit about the transition here as we prepare to name the person that will step into that role. Dr. Hines will be returning in the spring semester at halftime. He will retain the title of Deputy Superintendent as he works in his role at halftime. Additionally, we will have Mr. Greg Colshan, our retired Assistant Superintendent of High Schools, will be returning in a halftime position as well to assist us in this transitionary period. So tonight what we will want to do is we will name our new Deputy Superintendent that will actually start that role officially in June. But by naming her tonight, this will give us an opportunity for her to work directly with Dr. Hines through the spring semester and be very well prepared to take over in June. And that's something that I know will help all of us feel at ease, especially our new Deputy Superintendent. And so when we look to fill the role, filling Dr. Hines' shoes is impossible. He does so much and he does such great work, but we really wanted to find a person that could help as an air traffic controller, really, in many ways in this building. There's so many things that are going in different directions, and this is a position that has to manage that, also provide leadership to the assistant superintendents as well as directly to the principals. We went out, we found the very best candidates from across the state. We also had internal candidates, and I will tell you that all of our internal people are amazing. And we were fortunate to have great external applicants, but our internal people shined as we would hope that they would. And so we needed to find the best person for this position while knowing that all of our internal candidates were capable and excellent as well. So tonight, I want to make the recommendation for Dr. Bethany Medford to become our next Deputy Superintendent. And the things that have stood out through the interview process and through speaking to the cabinet members and getting their feedback is just that ability to have a positive presence, to be a leader, to exude optimism and encouragement. She's still got a little bit of that coaching in her blood, and it comes through. And at the same time, she still has a little bit of that athlete in her blood too, and that competitive nature to make sure that we will always win. And that's something that I know gives us all confidence. And I don't know if it's impossible to know if this has ever happened. But Dr. Hines is retiring, and before Dr. Hines became a deputy superintendent back in his day, he was a high school principal. And one of his students, when he was a high school principal, was Dr. Bethany Medford. So he is passing the baton to one of his former high school students tonight, and I'm proud to make the recommendation of Dr. Bethany Medford to be our next deputy superintendent.
Motion to accept Bethany Medford.
Second the motion.
Deputy Superintendent.
Did you check her high school records from Dr. Hines before
What do you
this
know?
decision was made?
What do you know?
She there we go. Okay, there you go.
And the fair queen.
That's the
Now you know the rest of the story.
longest training day I ever seen.
All right, I will call the vote. All those in favor show by the uplifted hand. Any opposed by the same sign. Congratulations, Dr.
President Hubert, members of the board, Dr. Knoll, thank you for this incredible opportunity. It's an honor and privilege to serve the families, students, and staff of Conroe ISD. When I began my career in Conroe 20 years ago at Pete Junior High, I knew instantly, without a doubt, this is where I wanted to raise my children. We are proud to call this community home. I've been blessed to learn from the best during my time here. Thank you, Dr. Knoll, for your example of servant leadership and what it means to truly invest in serving others. Dr. Hines, from the moment I met you as a senior in high school, as you were introduced as our new principal until today, you've exemplified that every decision you make and every interaction you have, that every child is precious and worthy, and that our ultimate goal is to ensure that is the forefront of everything that we do. Thank you. Thank you to Dr. Winkler, Dr. Povich, Mr. McCord, Dr. Upshaw, Dr. Taylor, Ms. Garrison, Mr. Brown, and Ms. Galvan for your support, for setting an example of work ethic that is unmatched. I appreciate your patience, encouragement, and heart for our amazing district. I look forward to working more closely with all our amazing campus principals, the teaching and learning department, student support services, and school improvement, and supporting all of our campuses and the students and families they serve. I stand before you as a product of a family of teachers and community leaders that served before me and set an example of hard work and the importance of loving and serving your community. My grandfather, who was a dairy farmer and owned the feed store in our small town, also served as school board president. Many aunts and uncles who served in many different capacities, director of planning and construction, high school principal, assistant director of special ed, school secretary, auto tech teacher, and first grade teacher. These are the people who shaped me from an early age, and I work to honor them in everything I do. My girls, Kennedy and Kaden, are here tonight. I should have taken the advice to not turn around. They are juniors and very proud Conroe Tigers. I have lots of family watching online, so I'm going to wave at them. My mom, former special education teacher. My dad. My brother, Christopher, his wife, Kimberly, who teaches first grade at Galatas, and a couple of future Highlanders, Jackson and Madison. Thank you for loving me and supporting my big, crazy dreams. Finally, thank you to all of the central office staff, my middle school principals, my Cryer, Bosman, Runyon, and Pete families for riding this journey with me. They have made me who I am today, and I cannot thank them enough. Thanks again for this opportunity.
Yeah.
Here we go.
I think that's in order, probably. All right, thank you very much. Congratulations once again. All right. I'd like to go back to item 5, which is the,
Do you want to excuse anyone to go?
do we need a break or are we good
It's
to
your
go?
call.
I think we should,
Yeah, whatever you'd like to do.
we can give it 2 or 3 minutes. if
Yeah,
that's-
let's do that.
Yeah, we can give just a few minutes.
Yeah.
That'll be fine. All right, we are back in session. Time is 7:23. All right. Ms. Wagman, I'd like to call item 5A. Consider approval.
Already.
Consider approval of attendance zone for intermediate schools in the Caney Creek High School feeder zone.
Well, what could possibly be better after those 2 moments than to talk about rezoning and a calendar? So let's just go right into it here.
Let's do this.
With Dr. Hines and rezoning.
All right. Good evening, President Hubert, members of the board, Dr. Noel. Again, I want to follow up from last month. We came to you and showed you the work that the committee's been doing, and just to kind of refresh just a little bit, Grangeland Intermediate has a capacity of 1,050 students. Currently, we're at roughly 1,250 students, and we're projecting rapid growth on the east side of our district, and so by 2028, we are projecting nearly an enrollment of 2,200 students in grades 5 and 6. With the opening of Veterans Memorial Intermediate, we'll have a capacity of roughly 2,100 students. So that should serve us for the next 5 or 6 years. Just to kind of refresh, the new Moorhead Junior High School will open on Granger and Land Road, and we will repurpose Moorhead Junior High School to become Veterans Memorial Intermediate School, which will serve grades 5 and 6. That's this campus that's located on 1485. And reminder, it originally opened as an intermediate, and then it became the junior high when we split it off from the Caney Creek High School campus back in 2008. Again, this is just a picture of Veterans Memorial. We put a committee together, an attendance boundary committee made up of district folks, campus principals, campus parents, and they've really been working on this since August. And the purpose of that committee was to develop a boundary for Veterans Memorial. And we looked at different scenarios, but tonight we're bringing for your consideration and hopefully approval, scenario 3.13, which will, this is geocoded students, so it won't really be this enrollment, but this gives you an idea based on who lives there. 508 students would be at Grangerland, and 663 students would be at Veterans Memorial. Veterans Memorial represents the green portion of the map, and Grangerland, the red portion, which is really made up of San Jacinto and Hope and a portion of Milam, and the green portion is made up of the attendance boundaries from Creighton and Austin and a portion of Milam. And so the boundary and kind of the zoom in is a, I'll go to this picture of it. It's really that area that includes all the campuses of Caney Creek, Grangerland, Milam, and the new junior high school, Moorhead Junior High School. And so you can see the boundary really goes along 1485, and it kind of dips down, and you can see Fire Tower Road kind of makes that dividing line to the east. That is our recommended attendance boundary, and since we presented this last month, we've had no comments on it, and generally, the few comments we've had have been, make sense to most people. So our committee recommends to you for consideration scenario 3.13.
Okay. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second the motion.
All right. Do we have any discussion, questions? You know, Dr. Hines, you put this stuff together, and if you could go back to the list of folks who volunteered their time to be a part of this, I'd like for us just to look at those names just for a little bit longer, because I know the work that these people put into it, along with you, and then we even get community people. You have parents in here. This is not something that I know that you throw together just overnight and just, draw a line and say, this makes sense. There's just a lot of work that goes into it, and as Mr. Sanders alluded to earlier this evening, that, we get a little nervous, but it makes it easy to know that the community is really involved in drawing these lines out, and it's the community that's going to be impacted the most. And so I just want us to make sure that we recognize these people who have put their time in to help us and help you and put this recommendation together.
Thank you for pointing that out. We had a very outstanding committee, and the parents bring a lot to it, the principals bring a lot to it. They have a lot, we fine-tuned a lot of things on the map based on input. Regina Woody's a valuable member in this process. Of course, Mr. McCord co-chaired it with me, and Jessica Villarreal, Cindy Smith do a lot of work as well. So we get great support from Communication Department. Transportation's right there, kind of pointing out a few things. Mr. Chavez does a great job working with us. He helps us translate a lot of our presentations into Spanish, so we'll make sure we're getting the word out. So we just all around, we get great support. Dr. Medford and Dr. Winkler have been a part of this process as well. So we couldn't get it done without a lot of people's help. So thank you for recognizing that.
Dr. Hines, can you remind me, based on the recommendation of this scenario 3.1.3, what the total population will be at Grangerland and what will be at the new Veterans Memorial?
Yes, so this is, as we project on the current basis of who lives there, it will be 508 students at Grangerland, 663 at Veterans Memorial. And so we're impacting those 663 that currently are going to Grangerland that are moving to Veterans Memorial.
Right.
We do anticipate both sides are going to grow rapidly. So that number is going to go up substantially. That's geocoded, so it doesn't represent any special programs that might move students around or teachers that bring their children to school with them. But that's what our projections are currently.
And so you anticipate that this level, or it's basically going to put them in about half, right?
Correct.
And that, you said, will allow for about 5 years worth
5 or 6 years
growth for the intermediate campuses?
It will.
Okay. Thank you.
And then we'll have to have another solution.
Right. Yeah, this is only temporary.
It's only temporary.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? All right, seeing none, I call the vote. All those in favor show by the uplifted hand. Any opposed by the same sign? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job. Good job. All right, moving on to item B, receive update regarding attendance zones for elementary and intermediate schools for Grand Oaks High School feeder zone.
Okay, so we're not quite as far along through the process with Grand Oaks, so tonight is just an update. We'll not be asking you to vote to approve anything tonight, but here to provide an update on the process and where we currently stand is Mr. McCord.
President Hubert, members of the board, Dr. Noel, good evening. I'm here tonight to provide an update on the Grand Oaks feeder elementary and intermediate attendance zone boundary process. We are currently doing a number of things in our boundary committee. First off, we are establishing the first ever attendance boundary zone for the Dr. Christopher J. Hines Elementary School, which is located at 4550 Lexington in the Grand Oaks feeder. We're also analyzing what could potentially be done for rezoning for the boundaries for Cox and Clark Intermediate. The issue we have is that Clark Intermediate is well over capacity, and it is poised to grow fast, and we are looking forward to the future as far as what we could do to make it better for students in the community. And also ancillary, if we can, we're looking to see if there's anything that can be done for other elementary schools to help with their zoning numbers in the Grand Oaks feeder while we go through the entire process. So it's challenging. It's challenging because I'll talk about this every time I'm here over the last 3 years, that there are numbers that you'll see before you deny it. But those numbers are real kids and real families. So we have a committee that's also wonderful, and we want to do what's right for kids in the communities and the schools, and we've put a lot of effort into that. Our goal at this moment is to come before you in January with a recommendation for the elementary zones and for the intermediate zones. That is where we are. We are on schedule. We also have a Cracker Jack group, and I love and appreciate everyone on this team. They've worked well with us. Some of them are here tonight, including parents to support us, and this is just an update. So I really appreciate them being here, but everyone's contributed greatly, and we've given up Thursday afternoons going on for 4 months now to meet at the Jet Center and online for a couple of times, and so I really appreciate them. So as far as the main reason we're here, here is a look at where we are at now, and I showed you this a couple of months ago when we had an update. But I would direct most of your attention to Broadway and Snyder. And you can see where we stand at Broadway and Snyder as far as our current population. You can see the population on August 29th. Those numbers have gone up significantly since August 29th, and you see where we are going. But thankfully, we have Hines Elementary to help. And we are not done building elementary schools or intermediate schools based on what you see as far as the numbers in the Grand Oaks feeder. But we have Hines Elementary. We're delighted to have it. I was there yesterday. It is well underway. It looks beautiful. It'll be closed in late January or early February and is on track to open in August of 2023. So it's important to understand where we are currently with our elementary zones. If you look at this picture, everything in yellow represents Snyder Elementary. And you'll see it's an expansive amount of land that Snyder encompasses. Of course, much of that right now is not populated. That's going to change. You'll also see Broadway in purple. You'll see in pink, Bradley, Burnham Woods in brown, and Ford Elementary in green. So that is the current zone. There's the front facade of Christopher J. Hines Elementary. It doesn't currently look like that, but it's well on its way. So we have worked through 21 scenarios so far, and we've got a couple of months to go. So I salute the team. We have 2 scenarios tonight. They are very similar. I'm going to talk through them briefly. And if you look at the scenario 6.1, everything in gray would go to Hines Elementary. So most everything in gray is Hines. That would come from what used to be the Snyder boundary. You see Snyder would be represented in yellow, Broadway in purple, Burnham Woods in brown, Bradley in pink, and in green, Ford Elementary. So it's been important to us to try to keep Hines Elementary geocoded. In other words, students who would attend Hines Elementary under 750 if we can. That's section N57, just up to the northeast, where the number 65 is, which 65 corresponds with the location at 4550 Lexington of Dr. Hines Elementary. That is the area that is poised for explosive growth, and then ultimately all that area you see on the east side. But you see this scenario and the scenario which I'm about to show you also keep Hines Elementary under 750, while also helping the overcrowding at Broadway and at Snyder. 6.1, I would show you, and Dr. Hines is really good with a mouse, so show you Allegro at Harmony. Allegro at Harmony is number 57T. In this scenario, Allegro at Harmony goes to Snyder. And in this scenario, the Villages at Harmony, 57R, would go to Broadway. Likewise, in scenario 7.0, it looks just the same, but the converse would hold true. Allegro would go to Broadway as 57T, and 57R, the Villages at Harmony, would go to Snyder. The numbers are very similar. They are completely similar for Hines Elementary. You can see the outgoing and incoming cohorts are sufficient in size so that when children go to their new school, they will have people they know the first day, people to eat lunch with, and people to ride the bus together that they already know. This is the intermediate pattern that we have at this moment. 2008 saw Cox Intermediate come on board, and Cox Intermediate was the original intermediate school for Grand Oaks feeder. It was built in 2008, and you can see everything now in yellow is Cox Intermediate. Everything in pink is Clark Intermediate. Clark Intermediate came on board in 2018. The rough line of demarcation, or I should say smooth line of demarcation, is Burnham Woods Drive. And if you follow up Burnham Woods Drive, which Dr. Hines can show you with a pointer, because he's good with a pointer, everything basically to the east of Burnham Woods Drive goes to Clark, currently with the exception of Legends Run, which is 57J, and 57Y up top, which is Legends Trace. So they currently go to Clark. Working through 8 iterations of our 29 total iterations, 8 intermediate ideas, this is our current leader in the clubhouse. And Sarah, can you take me back?
Wait, what?
I went too far, or it went too far. Okay, drama. It's at the end.
You have to keep them wanting more. That's important. All great presentations.
Just to clarify while we get there, 57Y Legends Trace, which is to the north, and 57J, which is just north of 99. One back there, Sarah. 57J. Okay, there we go. So 57Y Legends Trace up top, just underneath the falls, would go from Clark to Cox. Also 57J at the bottom, Legends Run, would transition from Clark to Cox. We're talking about a total of 199 students potentially. And you can see at the table at the top right, basically what we would be doing would be flip-flopping the numbers and capacity of where we are for Clark and Cox, knowing full well that the mass of kids, a growing population of new homes are going to be in the Clark zone, primarily in section N57 and expanding. That is where we are right now. We're still working through the process 2 months out before we come to make a recommendation. The total outgoing and incoming cohort would be 199 students to just under 200. We've had 4 community meetings. They've been well attended. They are online for the most part. You can watch them, the online versions, and we've had 2 meetings at York Intermediate, and we appreciate Mrs. Bujanoff housing us there those evenings. The attendance boundary process webpage is right here. Here's a look at it. It has answers to frequently asked questions. You could, early on, you could submit different scenarios, and we have all 29 scenarios that have been vetted by the committee listed on the website. And so it is there, and you can still submit feedback. Our last feedback was October 22nd. And so right now, that is where we are. And we plan on getting across the goal line to bring 2 recommendations to you. And I appreciate the time tonight to give you an update.
As let the record show that we have over 25 pages of comments and feedback from the public, so great job.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. Any questions?
A lot.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. Moving on to item C, receive 2023-2024 school calendar information.
You know, as Mr. Sanders mentioned in his comments earlier, one of the things you talk about rezoning, we spend so much time working on it and have so many conversations about it. By the time we actually choose it and we go forward, everybody works out and everybody's happy with it. Well, the calendar is much the same scenario. We spend a lot of time and effort and conversation about the calendar. The district level planning decision-making committee spends just an inordinate amount of time, truthfully, discussing this. And so it's no small task to lead this discussion. And Dr. Upshaw has really taken the reins of the school calendar and has done a great job. And she is here tonight to update you on the work of the district level planning committee and also get your feedback that you would have us take back to that committee and the community.
See how much influence. We'll see how much influence a certain Josh and Jake may have.
Right.
They might have voted on the student responses. It said, for all the adjustments in the mic, this is the right height for me today. President Hubert, Dr. Knoll, and members of the board, I come to you tonight, just like Dr. Knoll mentioned, to discuss the calendar process with you. So like we've mentioned, we, as the Board of Trustees, give the authorization for the district level planning committee to be kind of our think tank as we come to be able to give you options to be able to move forward with some calendar drafts for feedback and also to overall give you a recommendation in January for a vote. So we have already this year sent out 1 survey, and our goal is to about late November, after your feedback today, before we leave to Thanksgiving, be able to give some sample calendars out there to our community to move forward with some feedback on how they want to move forward.
So our highlights for tonight on the calendar process. We are a district of innovation. So what does that mean? That means because of that, we're able to start our school calendar prior to August 21st, right? So you know in past years, we've either started in the middle of August or early like August 10th or August 11th. In addition, some other highlights are our calendar has to have 75,600 minutes. We like to build in 2 makeup weather days, which is 840 minutes. We have a waiver of 2,100 minutes for staff development. That's where you'll see some staff development days in between the first day of school and the last day of school, and also early releases. And we typically do not schedule any days off during our student assessment calendar for STAR from TEA. Here are our survey results. We had 1,300 additional responses this year. We had 6,000 responses within the first 45 minutes it went out. It was very popular in our community. And what this tells you is that, as you have in front of you, our calendar that we have is very well liked in our school district. 60% of our school district likes it. 18% not particular, but 25% say they're indifferent. So pretty much 8% says they're good with the calendar that we have. So I'm going to give you just a few moments to look at our current calendar. Some highlights are 187 days for teacher. That's the contract days on all our calendars. This particular calendar is 175 days of instruction. It has an early start date and an early end date, so August the 10th, and we ended prior to Memorial Day. So things we've learned about our survey that we had sent out. Our calendar, we know, affects our family schedules. Being the biggest employer in Montgomery County, it affects us as a whole. So when we have a weather day, we have to make, Dr. Knoll has to make that call with the team, or when we have to close for other things, it does impact our community. We've received positive feedback about starting in the middle of the week versus a Monday. Our October holiday is valued. October is a tough month, right? Thanksgiving week is by far the most popular holiday when we rank it.
Especially today.
Yes, sir. People like 3-day weekends in the winter break. Spring break can be moved, but historically we go the majority of Texas universities, and currently right now, Sam Houston State, Lone Star College, and UT and U of H all have that week right there. The debate about the balanced semester is ever present. And I do apologize, Dr. Hines corrected me, it took me a moment to register that. UT does have a later week in March, thank you, sir. Starting later would be nice, but ending school before Memorial Day is nicer. So when they have to compromise which one we want to do, that would be their preference. So here we have before you Draft A. Draft A looks exactly like our current school calendar. Draft B, this is the only change, is what's highlighted. We reduced one instructional day and we added November the 6th off before November the 7th, which was our election day. We had a lot of absences. So it's just a thought to consider.
Say that again? I'm sorry.
So, oh no, I'm sorry. So we added November 6th, which is right before November 7th, which is the election day.
Is a day off, you said, because?
Yes, sir, just like this year. So we added, from feedback from the district level, we added November the 6th because there was a lot of absences.
So students would have a 4-day weekend rather than have a weekend, come back to school
Right.
Monday, and then be off Tuesday. It just gives a little more flexibility.
Out of
there.
curiosity, do we know what the attendance was this past Monday?
No, sir, but we can look it up for you
Okay.
and share it with you.
And could you also check the past, and then the Friday prior to that?
Yes,
So if they took a
absolutely.
5-day
Mhm.
weekend.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And maybe the Thursday before the Friday.
Just keeps going, right?
In the end, they're gonna go to Disney when they want to go to Disney.
Well,
I guess.
because when you think about it, they're looking at flights. They're
Oh,
looking
yes.
to see
Oh,
what
yes.
their best rate on flights are. And so if they're coming back, you're gonna go wherever, especially a family is gonna go wherever the cheapest flight is. And so, but it costs us as well.
Indeed.
Yes.
So.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Well, it doesn't matter. I think it's, the reason we do it, someone correct me if I'm wrong, is because of the polling locations of the schools, so we're looking for
Yeah.
school safety.
But
So I don't know if
the
it's-
traffic you think would be, I mean, for instance, this cycle, and of course, 2024 is gonna be pretty huge, but next year, you think it'll be just as?
It would not, and that is something that we can consider based on your feedback. Having it every other year, we have received,
Every year would be a better solution.
something to consider.
You want to give the feed, but part of the feedback that we did receive back was that consistency helps with, you know, it just, they get into that mindset that we take that time. That's just part of the feedback we
I
got
get
now.
it, but here's the problem. I'm entertaining this now, right? Before we entertained that day to make sure we, you know, accommodated folks and so forth. Now we're entertaining, well, people took the other day off, let's give them that day off too. Next, we're gonna say, well, now they want a 4-day weekend, or 5-day, or 6, so let's look at Friday, potentially Thursday. You know, we started with just one, just because.
Yes, sir.
For school
For
safety.
school safety purposes.
Right.
Which I understood, agreed with, but now we're saying, well, attendance was low, so now we're moving and shifting based on parents' tendencies to, or whomever, to take additional days off. That's all I'm saying. And I don't think this election cycle, 2023, is gonna be that hectic as this one and presidential one in 2024.
We can share that feedback with the committee, and as we move through some of the drafts, we have some options that don't have it on there for you to give us feedback as well.
And I need my kids in school as much as possible.
Point taken, Mr. Williams. I'll write that down.
If I could also make a comment, there were some other districts that did have that Monday off prior to the Tuesday. So there were some others that
Correct.
did that this year.
Cy-Fair, Tomball, Magnolia, all had that, Spring had that plan as well.
Yeah.
So I tell you, what I heard is some of them do that because of the logistics of setting up. When the people come in with the machines that set up at a school, it's 2 to 4 hours, and they can't really come in till school's gone, 4 or 5 o'clock, then you're gonna have school staff stay till 7 or 8 o'clock at night, helping the people, not helping them set up, but I mean, in the school monitoring while the people are setting up the machines.
Yeah.
I also like to add that some of those school districts gave them Astros parade day off. CISD and do it, which I'm proud of.
You don't give me social media hate again. Just give me a break
You know, if the
tonight.
Cubs win, that doesn't help.
Thank you. We have calendar draft C, and this one's a little bit different than any of the others. This one actually has a middle of the week start on August the 16th. Because we're starting August the 16th, the 9th week does not end on normally what would be that October 6th. It's going to end on October the 13th. So hence you'll see a staff development day on a Monday, which is October 16th, because that's one of the feedbacks we received from our teachers, collecting grades, being able to have that staff development day. In addition to that, it has a later Christmas break. So if you'll notice, traditionally, like for example, for Christmas, we'd be getting off on December the 15th. This one has a middle of the December break, the December 20th break. So students have a half day, teachers have a work day on the 21st. And we don't return back to school for students until January the 9th.
That's late, personally.
Just something to consider. And then also, if you'll notice on March 2024, on this current calendar, we gave them that Monday off after spring break. But I wanted noted that that Easter holiday is March 29th through April the 1st. So it's immediately after, sometimes that varies throughout the years and how things fall on the calendar. And because of this option, it has us ending after Memorial Day. And it has 2 less instructional days than our current calendar.
And to be fair, we're just trying to give options. We're not endorsing any.
I know you're not.
We see
All
there's
we're
some
thinking.
negatives of some of these, but part of feedback we've received in the past is that although our committee has considered countless number of calendars, when we've rolled them out to the public, we've only rolled out 2 or 3, and sometimes the public feels like we haven't given them enough options. So we're just trying to put many options available.
Well, personally, I like 8.
Thank you. Draft C. Draft D is a spinoff of C. So the difference is, again, that November 6th and 7th together that you saw in B. On this particular day, since that 4-day weekend on March the 29th and April 1st was immediately after spring break, there was a long stretch between April and the last day of school. So we removed the April 1st and moved it to April 15th. We also removed in this calendar, this is the first calendar, has 3 early release days. So instead of having the Monday on October the 16th off, which is a lot of Mondays on calendar C, we gave an early release day on the last day of the first 9 weeks. Calendar E. Do you want to wait? I can wait.
We only make it to like V, so we're almost, like, we're getting there.
It's almost like a menu. Sometimes too much is too much.
And that's why we're here for your feedback. Maybe we just move forward with 3 versions for our community. Yeah.
So you're on E now?
I'm on E, yes, sir.
Okay.
Draft E. This does not have a Monday start. It's a later start on August the 14th. It ends before Memorial Day.
We still have 2.5.
Noted on this calendar, November 6th and 7th are off. So can we all come to school?
You mean they're not off? They're not.
Yes, they're
not
off from the original. Yes, sir. We are here, present in the buildings. February 16th, Staff Development Day remains. There is no April holiday. There's no April 1st or April 15th. And because this day is a little different on staff development for teachers, we need to have a 187-day contract. We add an additional staff development at the beginning of the year for them, a day to accomplish that.
But that's the longest end of March through May 23rd ever.
Yes. So this is the bare bones approach, right? This is the latest possible start with the earliest release, but to achieve those things, you're exactly right. You have no real breaks during the process. So it's just if you're purely focused on I want to start late and get out early.
Right. I promise this is the last one, draft F. So the biggest difference between E and F is it's a different winter break. So this winter break looks very similar to the one that we've had through the years. And this one has 4 early release days, 1 at the end of each 9 weeks.
You start August 14th on this or?
Yes, on a Monday.
Yeah, so if I could just kind of summarize to you, really the biggest things that we're looking at here is, if you could go back one, thank you, perfect. The biggest things we're looking at is when do we want to start, right? So you're either going to start on the 9th or the 14th. If you want the midweek start, it's going to be the 9th. You know, if you want to go a little later, you can go the 14th. Then you're also, by the start date, you're focused on the back end of this is, are we going to finish before Memorial Day or not, right? And then because of where Christmas falls this year, it is sort of no man's land on the winter break. So that's why you'll see 2 different winter breaks, and you will see districts handle it both ways. So some will handle it like this example where you'll get out on the 15th. It's very early. But you know, some people do like more days before Christmas. It gives them a chance to travel. We do note that typical change of custody for divorced parents is the 28th. So this doesn't, this does provide that first parent with a little extra time. If you go to the other Christmas break, maybe go back one if you could. There you go. Where you go the next week and actually don't get out of school until the 20th, and teachers would work on the 21st. The concern here that we've heard in the past, we've done both. We've handled this both ways in the past, but what we hear when we go this route is that people have to go back to work the first week of January. And they don't have, there's no vacation accrued, they're not allowed to take vacation days. So when we've done this before, we've gotten feedback from parents that say, listen, I have to go to work in January. You need to start back to school.
Kids are home by themselves.
Kids are home by themselves. So,
Right.
but that's kind of the other, just the way the calendar falls this year. So that's, sprinkled in days off here or there. Do you take election day? Do you take the day before election? Those are minor things, but the major players in this are when do you start? How are you going to handle winter break? And when do you want to finish? And then everything else just gets sprinkled in.
So any additional questions, comments? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Rochelle.
It's that Cheesecake Factory menu.
Indeed, yes.
Do 2 or 3 in there.
Exactly.
All right. Accidentally put my agenda up. Okay, item D, receive information regarding district-wide intruder detection audit report findings.
All right, Mr. McCord.
President Hubert, members of the board, and Dr. Knoll, I am here tonight to present the intruder detection audit update for this month of November. So we harken back to the summer, early summer, June, and Governor Abbott required that the Texas School Safety Center conduct unannounced, in-person, random inspections of Texas public schools to assess the individual schools' access control procedures. Really, the purpose of those audits was to find weak spots at schools where someone could enter without being stopped, or translation, get in through a perimeter door. And also to improve accountability among use of the MEOPs, the multi-hazard emergency operation plans. So this was established, and then so what happens is audits occur. And the outside audit makes any findings. It'll be done by a representative of the Texas School Safety Center. Any findings are what you want to avoid. You want to avoid findings because those would require the district to perform corrective actions. Some corrective actions could include repairs or having the staff do additional training. For example, in repairs, I was looking as we were sitting here, the door to my left, to your right, for example, that's very congruent with doors around the schools. We have over 2,000 exterior perimeter doors. Most of them, many of them are double doors just as this. And so I give special kudos to Marshall Schrader and his team for their bulldoggedness in keeping the doors working correctly. Because I would argue, although we do a lot of things that are very important, I don't know there's anything more important than keeping our students and our staff safe. And his team does a great job with that. Just looking at that door, just to give you an example, you have all the mechanisms in the 2 doors. Vocabulary word, the center pole that goes top to down vertically, that is a mullion. It requires constant work. And then you have the door closures at the top. All those things require constant work and correction to make them work correctly. So I salute Marshall, who is a constant watcher of these YouTube events on Tuesday night, so I appreciate him and his team and what they do. Also, without disclosing any sensitive safety information, such as the name of the school or the audit findings or corrective actions, we share these with the board in the following month. And also, we share periodically with the district's Safety and Security Committee. So through tonight, we've had 9 campuses audited. Through those campuses audited, we've had no findings, which is the desired outcome by the representatives of the Texas School Safety Center. We are told that 75% of Texas schools will undergo random intruder detection audits by May of next year, May of 2023. So I want to say thank you to our students and our parents and our staff, our teachers for what they do to help keep the campuses safe. I will tell you, goings on in a campus, there are so many things that occur and things that need to happen and places that need to go. And the efforts by the students and the teachers and the administrators to make it work is massive. So I salute them and appreciate them. And I'll be coming back each month with an update as we have more random audits for our security.
Very good.
Thank you.
If you have findings, what do?
You correct them. For example, it could be fixing a door, or it could be basically we do more training with the staff to make sure that they are following the MEOP and following the procedures the way they're supposed to be done.
Are we announcing that publicly?
We will do some things here publicly, but we will not disclose the actual finding or the campus. But each month we'll come back.
So what'll happen is we'll go into closed session at an executive session, and we'll let you know the name of the school and the corrective action taken. But that is the other, it won't be allowed in public for safety reasons.
And our overriding goal is to not have that happen. And I talk to people at the Texas School Safety Center, and they tell me it's impossible because there's so many schools. We have over 2,000 perimeter doors, but we're on a mission to do everything we can to prevent that from happening. Number one, because we want to do well in the audits, but number two, it's really about safety of everyone in the building.
I agree, but why wouldn't we have this discussion, this presentation piece in closed session as well?
It's what's required.
The state requires us to announce it in public. Just,
I don't get that, but okay.
This is what the state wants.
We understand.
Go with,
Yeah, it's aggravating. But,
so far, so good. And we'll continue to effort to have it stay that way.
well, you know, the teachers and the students, they're coming and going through a lot of these exterior doors throughout the day, so I commend them for wanting to make sure our schools are safe as well, because it would be very easy for somebody to prop a door open because they want to come back and forth, and it's convenient, but they're not doing those things. And our audit found that we're all in compliance, and so it's not easy sometimes, but I appreciate the teachers, the administrators following that.
And President Hubert, it really goes even beyond that, because you have substitute teachers. You have
Sure.
bus drivers that need to come in and get a drink or go to the bathroom, and it's all these people working together. It's a mammoth operation.
Yeah, I understand.
But I tell you, the students really step up too. And so the students have a lot to do with it, and they recognize the need for it. So,
Very good.
Thank you, Mr. McCoy.
thank you.
Okay, item
Mr. Hubert, if you don't mind, just Dr. Hines was able to provide me with attendance data, so a question was asked, so if we can just
Yes,
answer it
please.
publicly, I think it would be helpful. So the Friday before the holiday, district-wide attendance average was 91.2%.
And we're talking about the November.
Yes,
the November
this
data.
past,
Correct.
yes, 91.2. On the Monday, before the day off, we were at 89.9. The Wednesday following election day, we were at 93.7. And just to give you comparison of the following Monday, we were at 93.3. So I think roughly you could say we're probably about 3 points down on that Monday
Okay.
compared to, the next Monday. So cost us about 3 points.
Kids just had a lot of doctor's appointments.
I'm sure. And, who knows? There's illness, there could be a variety of things, but I would guess probably about 3 points down.
Okay, thank you. Okay, moving on to item 7A, receive information regarding the district's progress on state required goals related to early childhood, math proficiency, and college career and military readiness, CCMR.
Well, you'll remember with House Bill 3, the state has required us to adopt some board goals, and you all have done that, and this is a learning process for all of us. We're, just 1 year's worth of data now, and we're able to share with you some data and also, give future consideration to, would our goals need to be adjusted moving forward, or what we need to do with that. But here tonight to share with you the progress, is Dr. Winkler and Dr. Povich.
President Hubert, members of the board, and Dr. Knoll. As Dr. Knoll said, we're here to review our HB3 goals that you adopted last year. We now have that year's worth of data, and for our early childhood literacy and math, we also have some data from this year. And we'll look at where we've been and where we're going. We do have a STAR redesign. It mainly affects STAR reading, but it also affects STAR math, so we need to watch that closely. And then we'll come to you later on to make recommendations if those goals need to be adjusted, or you can recommend it as well. So just to remind you of what you adopted last year for this piece of House Bill 3, the state requires us to have specific and quantifiable goals for early childhood literacy, early childhood math, and college and career military readiness. We also add that they should be reasonable goals. As you know from any goal setting you've ever done, our goals definitely need to be reasonable and attainable for our students, but keeping them challenged all at the same time. So we're going to start with early childhood, and before I do, I want to recognize some people that are in this room that really help us with this. They're from Dr. Upshaw's team, and that's Tammy Zunker, our early childhood and math coordinator. Mark Smith, our elementary ELA coordinator.
And Darren Carlisle, our Director of Teaching and Learning. They do a fabulous job with this data, but more importantly, they do a fabulous job with our teachers and our campuses. And probably the people I'm most proud of is our teachers. They really embrace these goals. They've used them as their personal professional goals at the campus level. And last month during our campus improvement plans, you may have noticed that all of our campuses have House Bill 3 goals that they address as a campus. All of our campuses and our principals have really embraced this to make sure that our students are growing and learning each and every year. To kind of put this in perspective, our current second graders were in pre-K in 1920, if they participated in pre-K. So they finished out the year in kind of in that COVID moment, and then they started kindergarten in the next year, 2021. So we definitely know that those students, we always have to keep our eye on them. We're going to have to keep our eye on students for a really long time, but these goals also help us with that. So for childhood, early childhood, that's going to involve our pre-K, K1 and 2 students, but the requirement is only that we set a goal for 3rd grade. But with any plan, we know that we have to take steps as we move forward to that. We don't expect students to get to the graduation stage without all of our efforts in getting them there, and same with this. We cannot accomplish that goal in 3rd grade if we don't look at what we're doing in pre-K, K1 and 2. It also aligns to the requirement that we use some of those early indicators to diagnose deficiencies that students might be having in reading and math, and so we also integrate that as well. So for childhood literacy, when we look at our 3rd grade goal, we look at the STAR test. And in the STAR test, when you got those results in August, we report all the students that passed. And if you passed, you either received an approaches, a meets, or a master's. And so when we look at this goal, we're only looking at the meets level. We're only looking at the meets level because we want to make sure that our students have that solid understanding of those 3rd grade skills. So these numbers might look a little bit different to you because we're raising the bar in essence of where we want our students to be. And again, as we see the data from last year and we continue to collect data this year and we look at that STAR redesign for reading, we may need to adjust some of these goals, which is a part of any good plan, is to make those adjustments. So when you first got these goals, this is what it looked like. We didn't have our 2021 STAR scores in, and we didn't have our 2022 STAR scores in as well. So we set these goals, and it was based on historical data that we had for 3rd grade reading over the years. And since then, we have received those results, so we've added them into the chart so for reference that you can see that. How we performed in 21 for our all student groups, but also our individual student groups, and then on the 2022 STAR, how we performed as all students, and then our individual student groups as well. You'll see that some of them we have not gotten there yet, and some of them we have already gone over our target. So that's where in the future we'll look at how we might need to adjust those because we have done well. But with the STAR redesign and just taking data throughout the year, those are certainly considerations that we need to look at as we move into the future. So this is 3rd grade. So what do we do to get ready for this to happen? What do we do to get ready for those goals to be met and hopefully exceeded so that we can change them to even higher? And that's when we look at what we're doing in pre-K, K, 1st, and 2nd grade. And so in pre-K, we look at, there's a lot of different goals in pre-K, but specific to this bill, we look at 2 different things: identifying upper and lower case letters and being able to properly identify the sound of an upper and lower case letter. We do know that those sounds are the same, but we want students to recognize that. In kindergarten through 2nd grade, we look at our benchmark assessment data, which is where they fall on the reading level as independent readers and in their instructional level. So we have our data collected for the 21-22 school year, and you can see that here on the left. And when we look at identifying letter names, at the beginning of last year, we had 15% of our students that could already do that skill at the beginning of the year. So then we continued to work on different skills with them. And at the end of the year, we had 78% of our pre-K students there. So we made large gains in that area. When we started out the school year, we have our beginning of the year data. We're at 14%, so just a little shy of where we were last year. And when we look at identifying letter sounds, we started the year with 16% last year of students being able to do that, and ended at 86%, which is huge. And again, we start this year at about the same level. So this helps our pre-K students go into kinder very ready to take on that work. And this is really the hard work of our pre-K teachers. It is a very difficult job. I have great admiration for our pre-K teachers. So if you see a pre-K teacher, thank them for all their work. That was not directed at Dr. Knoll in any way.
She directed one to me last week. I did go home and I said thank you to her.
So when we look at where our kinder, first, and second grade students are, we use that BAS test to look at where they are with their literacy skills. We do have a component for our Spanish speakers. For the awkwardness of how I would say the name of that assessment, I'll just tell you that we refer to it as SEL. It is akin to the benchmark and making sure that we are testing in their native language. Kindergarten always looks a little off because it'll always say 100% because you start on an A. So everybody's going to start on an A. So that 100%, don't let it throw you off when you see that they've started that way. But if you look down the first column, you'll be able to see where students landed in the 21 school year for each of those grades. At the bottom is those students combined. So in the 21 school year, we ended with 63% of our students reading at that very proficient level that we're looking at for that meets level. And then when we look at our data for MOY, we don't have our 22 MOY data there, but we do have our beginning of the year data there as well for each of those grade levels. So when we look at math, we're also looking at the same thing. We're looking at students that are proficient or strongly proficient in those skills that we're going to target. Again, we look at this from the view of STAR because we're looking at third grade. The ultimate goal is at third grade math STAR. And our goal is to have our 55% of our students at that meets level. STAR Math will go through a redesign. It's not as aggressive as the Reading STAR redesign, but we do anticipate seeing changes. This is what initially came to you because we didn't have all of our scores in yet. So again, we use that historical data to make some goals for our students. And this slide shows with those two tests embedded in there. So again, you can see we have met some of our targets because our historical data that we used for those first tests did not, we outscored them, so we were very happy about that. And this is where at the end of this year, again, we will ask to come back and make some recommendations to perhaps increase those scores, okay? Or those goals. So again, to get to that third grade goal, we look at our pre-K, K1 and 2, and what we're doing in those classrooms. And so we look at pre-K, how they count sets. They get a set of 5 to 15 items, and can they count those sets? Can they have that one-to-one correspondence? We look at numeracy. We look at conservation of numbers. If I have 15 items and I split them into 2 groups, do I still know that there's 15 items there? And then we move on to that number sense to make sure once they get into the upper grades, they have a good understanding of place value and numeracy. So when we look at pre-K, it's the same percentages. When we look at that counting sets, last year at the beginning of the year, 27% of our students were able to do that. And we ended the year with 82% of our students being able to do that. So great gains in that. And this year we start out with 26% of our pre-K students being able to count those sets and master that skill. So when we look at kinder, first, and second grade, we look at this a little bit different, and we actually did raise what we considered the meets level in this particular area. On several of those columns, you'll see 80%. We did have that set at 70%. So to be a student that we would say, yes, you have this skill, you'd have to perform at 80%. So we have that bar pretty high. With the exception of that first one in kindergarten, we're really doing those assessments to diagnose where those students are. So that one is at 65% for the first time, and then in the middle of the year, they'll move to 80%. So this year we started at 34%, a little bit lower than we have the previous year. And because of that information, our teachers are able to really differentiate those lessons in small group. Tammy Zunker and Mark Smith, as I said, they've been on this tour of helping teachers in the classroom to make sure that they have a solid understanding of this. We've also we've continued our professional development with our administrators on what they're looking for in the classroom and feedback to give teachers when they're in the classroom. In in first grade, we're still at that 81%. We started the year last year at 41%, having mastered that skill about the same this year at 40%. And then we hope that while 69% to end the year is a great number, we would hope that number would be even higher. And then in second grade, we did see a dip in second grade. And this, again, at the beginning of the presentation, these were our students that were in pre-KK when we first had a disruption in our learning. And so we have been keeping an eye on these students, in particular, all students, but this group really was one that we wanted to make sure we monitored. So we have seen a little bit of a dip. Last year we started at 33%, and this year we're starting at 22%. And again, that goes back to pushing in those instructional coaches into the classroom to make sure that those skills are being taught the right way, differentiating for our students who have been able to already master those skills and students that are still working on those. And we really try to accomplish that through our small group instruction, but also with our planning with our teachers to make sure that manipulatives are available for them so that students can get that real experience. And with that, we're going to move on to college and career and military readiness if there aren't any questions about early childhood math or literacy.
President Hubert, members of the board, and Dr. Knoll, Goal 3 of House Bill 3 is the college, career, and military. We call it CCMR goal. It's Goal 3 of House Bill 3. Before I get too far into this, I want to thank Dr. Winkler and all her leadership. I have a first grader, and I appreciate all I see every day. His reading skills keep improving every time he comes home. Under House Bill 3, Goal 3, we talk about CCMR. Obviously, we're looking at college readiness, and that is measured basically in math and English. And students can qualify in this readiness standard through their ACT, SAT, the Texas Success Initiative, TSI, advanced placement, and dual credit. You also can qualify for CCMR through college readiness or career readiness, and that is through what we call IBCs or industry-based certifications. I will like to note that the state has changed the IBC certifications. They are moving us through that phase, and they're also debating in the future whether that a student, not only will you have to pass an IBC, it has to be associated with a certain class in CTE courses, and also you may have to complete 2 courses in that pathway or 3 courses in the pathway. So they're making it a lot more difficult to get that requirement. And currently, there is no way right now to get qualified for CCMR through the military because they're having difficulty collecting data. They believe this spring, 2023, this first graduating class, they will be able to collect that data from the federal government, and we will be able to count our military in this. So those are things, it is evolving, and we are adjusting as the state does.
Dr. Boyd?
Yes.
For military, it says enlisting in the armed forces and reporting to basic training. What about students that go to military schools? They're not enlisted, but they're going to military school. Does that count towards this at all?
I'm not 100% sure on that one, but I can look that up and get back to
I would tell you that,
She said no.
yeah, but
a
But it
kid
would
that
count
was
under
going to a
college.
service academy would have already probably met the CCMR requirements. They would have gotten their point based on their SAT score. They wouldn't have been admitted to a service academy.
Got it, thank you.
And that's a good point. That's something I should point out, is that oftentimes students qualify for more than one of these indicators as well, and we'll see that as we go through this. So the adopted board goal in the past was to make sure that we would start with a baseline of 63% of our graduates qualify for CCMR. By 2025, we want to move that up to 76%. We also had 3 progress measures that were adopted. And in our TSI criteria, that is the college side, we wanted to make sure we increase from a baseline of 44% of our students meeting that category to 56% by June of 2025. Also, we want to move up the percentage of students getting an IBC from 11% to 23% by 2025. And then a third measure that was added was our economically disadvantaged graduates. We want to move them up in CCMR qualifications from 47 to 66% in 2025. So we looked at the class of 2022. This class is actually going to count for us in our accountability system in the spring of 2023. They use lagging data. We're still collecting that information on our baseline goal for Measure 1. You can see that we are currently at 43%. We are still collecting data, and we want to get above our baseline goal of 44%. On the IBCs, you can see this class of 2022 had 25.37%, well above the 11%. Goal 3, this was the economically disadvantaged students, the percentage of them that were qualifying for CCMR. We are currently at 51%, above the 47%. Again, these are preliminary results. They're continue to come in at this time. Adopted for review before the board would be November, as of now, and February for House Bill Goals 1, 2, and 3. In June, we will review Goals 1 and 2. We would not review Goal 3, CCMR, because we're still waiting for the data to come in, and we don't want to repeat the same information that we had back in February with you. We're now going to talk a little bit about our graduation rates and our SAT, ACT, AP, and dual credit programs. First off, I'd like to thank the individuals on here that have assisted us throughout collecting all this data. It's been an incredible amount of information, and they've done a wonderful job. I want to make sure that recognize Ms. Stout, Ms. Boyer, Ms. Willard, and Ms. Pasquale for putting the information together for us. We're definitely going to miss Ms. Boyer back there.
You can stand. We all stand. That'd be great.
Please
Thank you.
From our class of 2021, this class was used for last year's accountability report. You can see our graduation rate for CISD. It's in the blue column there. Bar is above the state average, which is in red. That's what you want. And then on the other side, I would direct your attention to the far right. The dropout rate is lower on the blue, and the red is higher. So as a district, you're always looking to increase your graduation rate and obviously decrease the dropout rate. This is our graduation rate trend through 2021. It was constantly bothering me, and I finally came to my senses, and I remembered why. If you look at 2020, there is a jump there, and that was the COVID year when we did not finish the spring semester in person, so there was a higher graduation rate across the state in there, so that's why you see that little spike there. But that's what's going on right there for us. Again, we are in the blue, Texas is in the red, and you can see we're well above the state average for our graduation rates. So for the class of 2021, that was last year's class, or 2 years ago, you could see we had 65% of those graduates met at least one of the following criteria. They earned a score of a 3 or higher on the AP exam. They met the TSI criteria in reading or math through, and you can mix and match between SAT, ACT, TSI. TSI is the exam you take, a lot of our students do to qualify for colleges, dual credit and Lone Star College, or you can be enrolled in a college prep course. You meet dual credit course requirements by having get 3 credits in English or math, or 9 hours in any subject, earn an associate's degree, have an C certification, and also our special ed students who graduate with workforce readiness. Here's a breakdown of those graduates from the class of 2021. You see out of the 4,350, 2,817 qualify for CCMR. That's 65% of them. And a lot of these students, you do not add those percentages up, obviously be over 100%, and that's because students qualified in more than one area. On the SAT, this is from the class of 2022, last year. The gray is the national average, Texas is in red, and CISD is in blue. You can see that our evidence-based reading and writing, which I used to call English, our English and math scores are above national state averages, and obviously with combined as well on ACT. And you can also see the 4 categories that are tested on the ACT, same thing, and the composite that has all those together. We're well above national state averages. The percent meeting, this is interesting here, and I look at, when you're looking at the SAT, you want to look at to the far left, and that's the percentage of students that meet both the English and the math qualify for college readiness. It is 54%, so they met it both in the English and the math portion of the SAT. And then in the ACT, you can see as well, meeting 04 in blue, we're well above the state average there as well. And it, ironically, is 54% of the students testing on the ACT meet the college readiness standard. The chart on the left is our SAT trend. You can see your scores in blue. Again, national is gray, red is Texas. You can see we're above it. Being an old stat teacher myself, I would say we are now testing a lot more kids on the SAT by having an SAT day at school during the school day and not making kids come up on a weekend. So statistically speaking, as we have more kids testing, you would expect your mean, your average to come down a little bit there. The ACT scores you can see to the right, reading seems to be our leading plus there as well. This is our participation trend, and you can see in last school year 2021-2022, the number of students that have tested. ACT lags behind a little bit. It's not as a popular exam with us. Most of our students prefer the SAT.
You expect those numbers to be going up moving forward?
Yes, and you could see, you know, remember on COVID, we had a lot less students testing. You can see it spike back up.
Yeah.
And as we move forward, I would expect more. The challenge to that, it's kind of, the jury's out that I'm watching, is that as college admissions are not requiring or put as much weight on these tests, I wonder how that's going to play out. So I don't know. We'll watch and see. National Merit Competition, we had 37 semifinalists. That's what we had last night, or tonight. So we are maintaining pretty much the same on that, and we've gone up on commended, Hispanic, and African American commended as well. We're now moving into the advanced placement, and before I get into AP and dual credit, I would like to say that we have a very robust effort and energy put at all of our high schools, in that we balance out and that we want both an advanced placement program, a strong program, and a strong dual credit program. There are some districts that put their emphasis on one or the other. We like to do both. I think it's beneficial for students. Oftentimes we can see with our own kids, they lean one way or another, which test or which method is best for them. Looking here at the advanced placement, you can see our number of tests and number of students testing or taking the AP exams have gone up, and I'm excited about this. And when you look at 2022, we look back closer to 2019, which was our peak, which was before COVID. And so that's a good trend that I'm looking for on this data here. Right here you can see, this is another exciting data here in blue is Conroe ISD, the percentage of students scoring a 3 and above on an advanced placement exam. We're sitting at 66%. That means mostly those kids are getting college credit. Most universities would give them credit for 3 or above. We do not have the national Texas scores for 2022. We're waiting for College Board to release in the spring of 2023 that final data. Here's our most popular 10 AP exams in Conroe ISD. We have lots of credits to our English with the 85%. I also would like to point out world history. That is mainly sophomores, and you have 76% of them getting 3. And maybe just as equal or more important, or Impressive is our human geography. Those are mainly freshmen, first-time high school students, 826 of them, 62% of them getting a 3 or higher. I will caution you, please don't compare percentages among subjects, because depending on the test, you will see those averages fluctuate on what is the normal, typical passing rate on those. We're moving into dual credit here. You can see from last year's class, we had 2,205 students earn dual credit. They've earned over 17,000 college credit hours. That's about between 7 and 8 credit hours apiece for an individual. These are our more popular dual credit courses, a total of 5,521. Most of them are focusing on English and math. This is not just seniors, though. Keep in mind, these also have juniors in these courses as well. We're moving into the career side. We're extremely pleased in that we moved from about 1,100 in the past to 4,600 IBCs. Now, we're not going to get too excited because we know the game has changed. They moved it and they're tying more restrictions to it, but that's not going to change us from our efforts to keep and continue improving. While it may not seem as impressive, the 14 educational aid level certifications was the first time for us to have those administered. This is the same certification that we require some of our staff members, a lot of our staff members who work in our district, to have. And to think we've graduated 14 students with that certification is pretty impressive. All right, here's the fun part. Our endorsements earned for our students. Most of our kids graduate with a multidisciplinary studies endorsement, 87% from last year. This is due to our 4x4 requirement of the 4 cores over 4 years of high school. Oftentimes our students are getting extra endorsements as well. From the survey from last year's class, and this is the piece I'm always liking to look at, is what are their plans after high school? What do they want to do post-secondary? 31% of our students are considering 2-year college. That trend seems to keep growing over the years. We're now at 77% of our graduating class interested in 2 or 4-year colleges. This is not comprehensive. This is just our most popular universities that our students are attending. Texas A&M leads the charge. I'll get over that being a Longhorn, but I'll move on. Sam Houston is 128, Texas 98, Texas State 82, and U of H 53 are our top 5 universities there. And in our military enlistment, you can see our Army at 24, Marines we had 14 graduates, Navy 19, other is our Air Force, Coast Guard, and National Guard, for a total of 84 graduates in military enlistment. I appreciate your patience. I get a little excited with all the numbers. I'm sorry. I'm a math teacher, staff person. They always warn me to behave myself. So anyway, any questions you may have for me? Thank you all for your time.
My question is not so much a question, but a bit of a comment. Those are a lot of numbers. There's a couple of those pages, and I noticed between the two of them, there's like 5 rows of all the way across. And I know this is our first time to look at it. If there's a way to break that down a little bit more, maybe putting it on 2 slides or possibly 3 next time, so because I know we need to look at them, and I'm trying to look at them and trying to make sense of it, and we're going through it. That would just be my request.
Okay.
Just kind of break it down a little bit more, if that's okay.
Will do.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good job.
Thank you.
Very good.
Okay. Item 8A, consider and approve change order for the guaranteed maximum price amendment for projects in East County previously awarded to Jaris General Contractor, Inc., to include renovations to the North County Transportation Center and delegate authority to the superintendent to execute the contract documents.
All right, Mr. Foster.
Mr. Foster.
Good evening, President Hubert, members of the board, and Dr. Null. It's my pleasure to bring forward for you the world's longest titled items for your
It's
consideration
one of
and approval. So again, I'm requesting your consideration and approval of a change order to our East County projects to include our North County Transportation Center. So back in February 2020, you, our Board of Trustees, selected George General Contractors to be our construction manager at risk for a group of projects. That was our new junior high, which is the new Moorhead Junior High, It shares physically geography with a site that will be our East County Transportation Center. We embedded those two projects together in a GMP. The Caney Creek High School 6A upgrades projects, which are adjacent on property, so it made sense to have the same general contractor and design team working together. And then we have our North County Transportation Center was awarded at the same time to keep the whole teams together for your transportation and our design team and our contractor as one unit as we move through it. As you know, or may have seen, the construction industry has been facing some challenging circumstances and uncertainty in the market regarding cost, delivery times, supply chain, things of that nature. The district, we originally embedded the East County Transportation Center with the junior high, thinking we could make some economies of scale with supervision on that site. Because of some of those weird, kind of spikes in the market, we were having difficulty making the East County Transportation Center goals within the budget that was embedded in that project. So working with Joris, our transportation department, the district, PBK, we combined the transportation center scopes together for the bidding packages. So what we did is we created larger bidding packages for that particular scope of work, gave us some economies of scales, and it's a plan that did work. So when we put those two together, advertisements for bids, we were able to satisfy the transportation center goals at both centers and meet our budget targets overall when you look at the package at large. So tonight we're asking for you to add the North Transportation Center as a not to exceed price, a change order to the junior high and East County guaranteed maximum price that was previously approved. And that total is $13,546,408. So this time we're requesting you approve the change order for that amount to add the North Transportation Center to the new Moorhead and East County Transportation Center project.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second the motion.
Okay, discussion, questions. So my question is you're combining the two together. At the end of the day, that's what we're trying to do, is combine it together, economies of scale. It's not necessarily increasing the overall cost, it's just putting it all together.
That's correct. If we'd had the North Transportation Center separately, we had an anticipated budget target of $13,546,000 for that project. What we did find is the needs at the North Center, because we're able to build them a new admin building, but renovate all their existing shops and utilize that structure. So the budget for the North was a little bit more than we needed, and we were able to use that excess at the North to fill in the gaps we had at the East County Transportation Center and meet all the goals in East County. Build a parking lot where they can park all of the East County buses to keep people from having to drive buses home to park them. We'll be able to have them in our secure facility on concrete where we can monitor, take care of them, and manage them appropriately.
Okay.
Can I ask a clarifying question just to make sure I'm on point? So the stated budgets for those two projects in the bond package, we are meeting those stated budgets. We're not exceeding the amount that was in the bond package, and we have money for these projects in the bond program. Is that correct?
Correct, that is correct.
Okay.
So when you look at the whole package together, we are on target for all those projects, North County, Junior High, Caney Creek, and
It seems like you got
East
more
County.
value than expected by taking this route. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so it's,
They're able to renovate.
yeah, so it's just a matter of a change, I mean, you're calling it a change order, but it's putting it all
Sure.
together. Yeah, okay. Any other questions, thoughts? Okay, I'll call the vote. All those in favor show by uplifted hand. Any opposed by the same sign? Motion carries. Nice job. Receive capital improvements update. Mr. Foster?
Well, moving right along, we're going to bring you up to speed of our capital improvements we have underway throughout the district. I'm going to begin with our safety and security project. This is the scope of work where we're helping increase our ability of our campuses to meet the needs and help us have those no finding reports when the state level inspectors come through. So the project for Safety and Security 2022, these are the campuses we've been working on. It's access controls, cameras, door contacts, door latching, door hardware, things of that nature. So that project is on schedule. We'll be working with the contractors through the end of the year 2022, so through December. We'll close that project down at the first part of 2023. We recently bid the 2023 installment of the work. which will be our final installment for our 2019 bond referendum. So we look forward to bringing that forward for your approval next month. And so in 2023, we'll begin reporting that as we move throughout the district.
Okay.
At our new Moorhead Junior High School, this is the junior high school that's adjacent to Candy Creek High School and adjacent to the new East County Transportation Center, which will be breaking ground in the very near future. You can see from this angle you're looking at in the foreground of the picture is the new site for the East County Transportation Center. So we're going to turn most all of that into parking lot for the buses, secure fencing, and things of that nature. It's powered with the same central facilities of the junior high school. So the central plant for the junior high will feed power and air conditioning to the transportation center as well. That's one of those economies of being on that site. The junior high itself is way up in the top of the picture, so it is in a near 100% dry condition. We were there with some admin staff earlier this week. It is on scheduled to open in August of 2023. When you start walking around on the inside of that building, this is just a look through the dining commons stage, and you're looking at what will be the serving lines in the future. If you were there today, you'll see the ceilings for the common area going in. Lights are on, air is on, things that are happening. The personality of that school is really taking shape. Like I said, it is on schedule, and we'll be done with that campus for students in August of 2023. At Conroe High School, this is our massive renovation project of the Conroe High School campus. So there's two main scopes of work we're focused on currently. On the left end of the building is the new gym and locker room facilities. On the right end of the building is the new CTE venues for the CTE programs around that school. Finishing these two particular programs first, we're looking to turn over the gyms for our use in the spring semester. We're going to vacate the existing gyms and move them into the new gyms. That allows us to take fine arts out of the existing music building, move them into the existing gyms so that we can continue the renovations on the current music building, converting them into the full CTE programs. We'll be moving students out of the rotunda and the freshman annex in the spring semester as we get ready into those new CTE classrooms as they open up, because this summer is when we really reach the point of no return on that campus, and we begin removing buildings out from service. So the rotunda is scheduled to be removed from service. The freshman annex is scheduled to be removed from service, and the ag building, that's the lower building in the picture, will be removed from service this summer. So all those milestones are contingent upon us getting the gyms open in the spring semester, and our contractor is working diligently to make that happen. There is little room for error in that, but they are confident they can make that happen. The CTE programs are moving along very well. On the inside of the gyms, you can see here, this is a view from the observation deck in that gym, which is the detail that we borrowed from the existing pit, so that we can carry that honor of that building structure into the new facilities. And on the CTE wing, you're seeing lights, you're seeing ceiling grid, you're seeing they're getting that ready for carpet and all the finished paint and things of that nature on that end currently. The project is still scheduled to be completed at the end of the year, into the calendar year 2025. At Oak Ridge High School, this is our overall project of the Oak Ridge High School campus, as well as our South County CTE facilities. The focus currently is getting the new admin open, which is kind of middle left of the picture. You can see there's some construction equipment right outside that. And the upper left corner is the new CTE wing. So you kind of gather the size and shape of the CTE programs we've added to that campus. The new front entry there is starting to begin to take its shape. We're scheduled to turn it over for our use after the winter break. So when the students return from winter break in January, this will be the front door of the Oak Ridge High School campus. On the inside, they've got carpet, they've got the finished tiles, they've got flooring protection down, which is the ripples you're seeing in the floor there is the clear protection over that floor. The lights are on, they're getting ready to get the final inspection so that we can put it together and again turn it over for our use. We're going to be moving in over the winter break. Now, at Hines Elementary School, this is just south of Grand Oaks. I give you kind of a backdoor view of the campus this month because you can see the finished brick going on the outside. That building is nearing the stage where it'll be dried in, so towards the end of January, the building will be dry completely. But they're working around that building now. The dark gray is the base sheets for the final roof. It'll turn white as they install that roof. But I really wanted to show you what we're looking forward as y'all did zoning is the neighborhood just to the east as we're looking out there is primed and ready for development. The developers there have, as I understand it, have gotten approval from the county to open all those roads for public consumption. So they're ready to start building houses out there any day now.
Is that a run-through staging area in the parking lot for car pickup?
Well, that was actually our practice program to see how many cars we get lined up.
Mean.
So now I'll let you know, we were there earlier this week and happily navigated between all those parked cars, just like we'd intended to, so that you can stack a bunch of cars and still pass emergency vehicles through.
That's great. That's great.
Can you mention the name of the school one more time?
That is Dr. Christopher J. Hines Elementary School.
Yay.
I'm happy to report that school is on schedule and will be open for students in August of 2023.
All right.
Now, our new maintenance and child nutrition facility, this is out on FM 2854. You see that all the building structure is underway, so the main building itself is rapidly closing up. The tall section on the kind of the left side of the picture is the new office section. So we've got 2 floors for the departments that'll be there: custodial, child nutrition, maintenance. There's a lot of people moving in to work in and out of that facility. The rest of it is warehouse and ground storage and things that nature of the rest of the 2 buildings remain. You can see our paving is mostly done. We're working to tie it into FM 2854 currently. The project overall is on schedule, and we anticipate using it for our intended purposes this coming summer, which would be the summer of 2023.
Wow.
At Caney Creek High School, this is our upgrade project to help us deal with the capacity and other issues that are affecting a school becoming a 6A school. So you can see here it is also the safety and security upgrades for that building. This is the new front entry, and if you were out there today, you'd see most of that scaffolding is gone. We are working diligently with our contractors to take over the use of that new front door over the Thanksgiving break. So the intent is for the campus, when they return from Thanksgiving, that this is the front door of Caney Creek High School. So they're not by no means finished, but we'll have it in a usable condition where the fire marshal and all the other life safety issues we have to check the boxes on have been satisfied, and our staff can use this for its purpose. We'll still be working around it. The campus at large, as we move around, is beginning to move and focus on the other building additions that help us expand the athletic capacity for the students that are participating on the sports at Caney Creek High School. On the left side of our picture, you see some concrete reinforcing steel laid down, ready to pour the new fire lane access, which is another code requirement to help us better serve the back side of that campus if there was an emergency. The foundations are being drilled for the building additions, and those there's 2, one on this side of the building and one on the other, are underway as we speak. Overall, the building is on schedule. We're scheduled to turn the entire project over as complete at the end of August 2023. And Collins Intermediate, this is our gym addition at Collins Intermediate. So you see the building is up there. Today you see window framing going in, other things that help us drive that building in. On the inside, you can see finishes and other things happening. So the project is on schedule for this portion to turn over for us to be dribbling basketballs and having PE class when the students return from the winter break. If you're with us through the Wilkerson project last year, this one is in much better shape as we approach the winter break. So we are pleased with the progress. We will be on the campus because this job is also replacing some life cycle replacement of systems inside the main building. This portion will open in January. The whole project will be complete in August of 2023. And that's our update.
Very good, bro. Great job. Thank you for that.
As Mr. Foster mentioned, we were able yesterday to take a tour, so many of us went and we walked Conroe High School, the new Moorhead Junior High, and Hines Elementary, and pictures are one thing. When you see it, it's overwhelming to see the amount of work and just the complexity of the work. Mr. Foster's team does a wonderful job, and I thought the picture of Hines there that you mentioned, that was one of the things that was so impressive yesterday when we pulled in, is the number of cars, the number of people working on that site to keep us on our schedules. It's kind of staggering. And when you look, you couldn't put another car anywhere. We had trouble finding a place to park because there's just so many people working on site. But we appreciated that, just the work that you and your team do. Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, Mr. Foster. All right, it is item Rick Reeves' turn. Item 9A, consider award of RFP 220701, Fleet Repair Services.
Rick Reeves, show. Here he comes.
That's good. Sorry,
Well, good evening, President Hubert, members of the board, and Dr. Knoll. Tonight, I'll be presenting the next 6 bid items for your approval. Each of these RFPs have been issued to the district's online e-bidding system to registered vendors and advertised multiple times in the Courier and also on the purchasing website. In addition, each RFP meets the competitive bid requirements set forth by state and federal procurement laws. So with that being said, we would like to request that the board considers awarding RFP 220701, which is for fleet repair services to the vendors listed on your attached tabulation for an estimated annual expenditure of approximately $475,000. This request for proposals pertains to the purchase of vehicle repair services for the district's white fleet and also for our buses. Vendors were asked to submit their fees on various maintenance and repair services for district vehicles. We had 24 vendors submit a response. The service contract will be valid for 1 year through November 2023, automatically renewing annually for 2 additional 1-year terms through November 2025, unless either party requests to cancel. The proposals were evaluated by the Maintenance, Transportation, and Child Nutrition Departments and reviewed by the Purchasing Department. Funds for this purchases of these services are provided in the CISD General and also in the Child Nutrition Funds. Our best value offers are recommended for board award, and at this time, we request your approval.
Move we approve as presented.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second? And we have a second. Very good. Any questions or concerns? All right, seeing none, all those in favor show by the uplifted hand. Any opposed by the same sign? Motion carries. Item B, I'll turn it over to you.
All right. Also, tonight we're requesting the board considers awarding RFP 220801 for new and used vehicles to the attached vendors for an estimated annual expenditure of $650,000. This request for proposals asks vendors to provide pricing for the purchase of new and also a catalog discount to quote used white fleet vehicles for the district through October of 2023. We did have 3 vendors submit a bid response. However, due to the lack of responses on line 8 for our delivery truck for our warehouse, the district requested quotes through the Buy Board Cooperative and received a qualifying response from Chastang Enterprises Houston LLC. These proposals were evaluated by the CISD Maintenance Department, Transportation Department, and the Police Department, and also reviewed by the Purchasing Department. Funds for the purchase of new vehicles are provided in the CISD General Fund. Best value offers are recommended for board award, and at this time, we request your approval.
So move.
A motion, do we have a second?
Second.
All right, questions or concerns? One quick question. For those that are being replaced, what do we traditionally do with those?
Those are auctioned off.
They're auctioned off?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, very good. All right, I call the vote. All those in favor show by the uplifted hand. Any opposed by the same sign? Very good, motion carries. All right, item C, consider award of RFP 220802.
All right. The intent of the next 4 bids are to supplement and expand the current pool of vendors for each of those particular areas, which will bring forth for your approval semi-annually each fall and summer. This allows the district to continuously create opportunities for our local vendors to become awarded, as well as allow our staff to have more options to make legal purchase. With this in mind, this is the first RFP here. We're requesting that the board considers awarding RFP 220802 for supplemental contracted educational services and professional development services to the vendors listed on your attached tabulation. This request for proposals is to supplement and expand the current pool of previously awarded vendors for contracted educational and professional developmental services. These vendors are asked to submit their fees based on the type of contracted services they provide, along with their supporting credibility documentation. Their service contracts with awarded vendors will remain firm through November 30th, 2023, with an option to automatically renew annually for 4 additional 1-year terms unless either party can request to cancel through November of 2027. These proposals were evaluated by the CISD Teaching and Learning Department and Special Education Departments and reviewed by the Purchasing Department. Funds are provided in the general and special revenue funds. Recommendations for award are noted, and at this time, we request your approval.
Okay.
So move. Second.
A motion and a second. Any questions or concerns? So the question I have is the supplemental contracted educational, so all of the vetting for these, they still go through board policy, they still go through.
Correct.
They still have to support TEKS, they can't go outside of that realm, correct? It's still all controlled here. Okay, very good. Any other questions? All right, show, those in favor show by uplifted hand. Any opposed by the same sign? Very good, motion carries. All right, item D, consider award of RFP 220803 or 03, CTE materials and supply and equipment.
All right. Next, we're requesting the board considers awarding RFP 220803 for career technical education materials, supplies, and equipment to the vendors listed on your tabulation. This request for proposals is to supplement, expand our current pool of vendors for our CTE supplies that were previously awarded for the district. The vendors were asked to offer a percentage discount off of shelf or catalog prices. We had 14 vendors that submitted a response this time. Contracts with awarded vendors will remain firm through November of 2023, automatically renewing for 4 additional one-year terms unless either party requests to cancel through November of 2027. These proposals were evaluated by the purchasing department and approved by the CTE department. Funds are provided in the general and special revenue funds. Best value recommendations for award are noted, and at this time we request your approval.
Move we approve. Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any questions for this item? All right, seeing none, all those in favor show by the uplifted hand. Opposed by the same sign. Very good, motion carries. All right, moving on to item E. Consider award of RFP 220804, instructional supplies material for the classroom.
All right, and we're requesting that the board considers awarding RFP 220804 for instructional supplies and materials for the classroom to the vendors listed on your tabulation. This is for the books, workbooks, software, site licenses, subscription, and supplies. This request for proposals is to supplement and expand our current pool of previously awarded vendors for those supplies for the district. Vendors were asked to offer a percentage discount off shelf or catalog prices. We had 30 vendors submit response this time. Approximately, of those responses, we had approximately 50% that were not previously awarded or awarded on a co-op. Its contracts will remain firm through November of next year, automatically renewing for 4 additional one-year terms unless either party requests to cancel through November of 2027. The proposals were evaluated by the purchasing department and approved by the teaching and learning department. Funds are provided in the general and special revenue funds. Recommendations for award are noted, and at this time we request your approval.
Okay.
Move we approve as presented.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any questions, comments? Once again, I just want to make sure we're clear, because these are books, and books are a hot topic right now, right? So I want to make sure that the books and instructional supplies and materials are all going through our vetting program that is following our
Correct.
board policies and
Yes, sir.
and
That
all
is
that.
correct.
Okay, very good. Any other thoughts? All right, all those in favor show by the uplifted hand. Any opposed by the same sign? Motion passes. All right, and F, consider award of RFP 220806 catering services.
And finally, we're requesting the board considers awarding RFP 220806 for catering services to the vendors listed on your attached tabulation. This request for proposals is to supplement and expand our current pool of vendors for catering services and general food supplies that were awarded previously for the district. Vendors were asked to offer a percentage discount off menu items or their catalog, as well as any other relevant fees. We had 14 vendors submit a response. Contracts with the awarded vendors will remain firm through November of 2023 with an option to renew automatically for 4 additional one-year terms unless either party requests to cancel through November of 2027. This proposal was evaluated by the purchasing department. Funds are provided in the general fund. Best value recommendations for award are noted, and at this time we request your approval.
Move we approve as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion or questions? All right, yes, sir. All right, all those in favor show by the uplifted hand. Any opposed by the same sign? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Reeves.
Thank you all very much.
Appreciate you. All right, item 10, 10A, consider adoption of resolution to create a capital improvement program contingency fund. I saw Mr. Rice stretching in the back, so it must be his turn.
Geared up.
Good evening, President Hubert, members of the board, and Dr. Knoll. Tonight, we're recommending the Board of Trustees adopt a resolution creating a capital improvement program contingency fund for the remaining projects in the 2019 bond program. The district's 2019 bond program included contingency funding for anticipated increases in the cost of materials and services over the life of the bond program. However, unforeseen and unprecedented market conditions have combined, resulting in unanticipated price increases. This raises concerns about whether the contingencies built into the bond program will be sufficient to cover the ongoing cost escalation that could ultimately result in significantly delayed project completions and/or default by contractors. Conroe ISD has done an exceptional job of controlling costs in this current economic climate. We have all seen the effects of general inflation running at 8+%. However, in the construction arena, it has exceeded 14 to 20%, depending on the trade. Building projects across the country are grappling with these same concerns, including Texas school districts. This resolution takes $18.8 million from the district's general fund, unassigned fund balance, to establish a capital improvement program contingency fund to pay for potential project cost increases created by market conditions that go beyond the original anticipated cost of the project. The $18.8 million represents only 2.9% of the $653.57 million 2019 bond referendum. The district goal is to maintain an unassigned fund balance in the range of 20 to 25% of our budget. Accounting for the current land purchases in progress and this transfer, the district will still be $12.9 million above the 20% targeted goal. With this transfer, the district will still be within our stated goal and in good standing with our bond rating agencies and TEA. Administration will report all expenditures from the fund to the Board of Trustees at each regular meeting of the board through the expiration of the program on December 31st, 2025. Before program funds can be assessed, which will occur through the change order process, contractors must establish to the district's satisfaction that every effort has been made to secure the services or products for an amount within the original scope of the project. Funds not used by December 31st, 2025 will be returned to the general fund. At this time, I recommend your approval.
So moved. Do we have a motion? Do we have a second?
Second the motion.
Motion and second. All right. Questions, discussion? Yes, sir.
Mr. Resch, you said 20-25% of the budget, so that's another 150 million in this fund? Did I hear that correctly?
Do what?
I thought I heard you say you're looking for
No,
another.
our goal is 20 to 25% of our budget in our unassigned fund balance.
Oh, okay, okay.
In the
Of
general
budget.
fund, not in this fund. Yeah, sorry.
Gotcha. Sorry, I heard wrong.
Yeah, total funds in this would be 18 million.
18 million.
Total. Or a little over.
Any other questions? I've got just a couple questions. So can you give me an example of a cost that a contractor may have that would affect, that could potentially tap into this? Like what, I know everything's been out for bid, right? So could you help me understand
And
why that would
Mr.
happen?
Foster probably has some more specific examples he can give,
Sure.
because I think we experienced one just recently.
So, and I think as Mr. Rice explained, this is a potential we're trying to prepare for, just
Understood.
in case, right? But going back to last summer, at Conroe High School, we had a concrete shortage, if you recall.
I remember.
So leading up to the summer, we had plenty of allocation. We knew the war in Ukraine was starting to impact the supply chain. What we learned was it was impacting the supply chain for Portland cement to the United States. So as we approached Memorial Day, the plan was 1,600 yards a week. That's cubic yards of concrete per week, would allow us to, the schedule we needed to redo the parking lots from Wilson Road, Longmire, all the way up to the front door of the new front door of the new campus. Over the course of the first week in June, so after Memorial Day, we get to the first Wednesday in June, the suppliers cut the allocation from 1,600 yards to 800 yards. And then on Friday, that same week, they cut it from 800 yards to 400 yards. At 400 yards, we did not have enough material coming to finish our work before school started. So we were forced at that time to find a new concrete supplier who could supplement the original concrete supplier. So that cost was not the result of the subcontractor or even the general contractor's error or negligence. That was something nobody could control. So we, the school district, made the decision then to spend our contingency on that project to pay the additional concrete expense for the new supplier, which wasn't a little, it was a lot. But it's things like that are outside anybody on the team's control, where contracts simply don't matter to the ships coming out of Turkey with Portland cement on it. And so we're seeing that all over the board, not just in concrete, but I mean everything that has to come over on a barge from any place other than the United States is starting to see delays that we can't control, right? So other regulations changing all around the country. One of the things, like in shipping lanes, for example, it's currently cheaper to ship through the Panama Canal than it is to drive a truck from California to Texas. I mean, so those things are causing us issues that I'm wearing my crystal ball down to a marble trying to figure them out. And so we're just trying to look out for the best interests of the district and plan ahead for what might be coming over the next 3 years.
Okay. What about other districts that are having these same issues? Do we have any idea of what other districts are doing in this same
I've
scenario?
actually seen what other districts are doing, are actually passing the cost of shortages onto the next bond review. They're actually, having bond elections for, we left $20 million on the previous bond, please vote for this to finish this project. We've actually seen that from our school district. You might have some other.
We've also seen school districts just cut projects. So they can't complete all their promised projects. So like in our example, that would be, Bartlett Elementary is our last elementary in the program. We are going to finish and build Bartlett Elementary, but other school districts might get to that point and say, we can't build the final school, and it gets left.
And we don't want to do that.
We do not want to do that.
We can't afford to do that.
We can't do that, right. We can't.
We got the kids on.
Okay. Yeah, because just, I read it and I had an opportunity to talk to you all ahead of time. It's good to know that those are the things that happen. One of the things that I had concern, and I think you can probably address this, was as our contractors find out that we're moving this money over, are they all of a sudden going to find ways to hit us with
The
additional
good thing
costs
about this
and
money,
fees?
it does not go to them. It stays in our control. We will take it on a case-by-case basis. So it will be scrutinized, ultimately by Mr. Foster, Mr. McCord, myself, and Dr. Knoll before any of those funds are released.
Is it also, if it goes above what we as a board have what's the word I'm looking for, approved for the
Yeah.
if it goes above that, then do you then have to come back to us for approval for additional funding, or no?
I think the point here would be to have this in contingency, so that that wouldn't be able to. And I'm going to ask Mr. Foster to speak to this, because your line of questions are very similar to the line of questions that I had as we discussed through this. And one of the concerns is about time, because one of the questions I asked was specifically that. Can we just wait, and if these situations pop up, could we just wait and at the next board meeting come back and say, hey, so this project went over by $2 million, can we get your approval to do it? And timing was an issue, as they told me. Can you explain that a little bit, just the way the timing's working right now?
Yeah, and it could be, and Mr. Reeves may be able to say from other bids in the district, not just related to construction, but we're seeing some, what is regarded as relatively strange in the marketplace. So typically when you're, even as a supplier or subcontractor bidding to school work, you know that on bid day, there's some number of days before the next board meeting approval. So you would bid anticipating an approval in 30 days or 45 days from the bid date. We're seeing bids come in marked, this is good for 24 hours, this is good for 5 days, this is good for 15 days, this is good for 30 days. So if we're faced with one of those situations that have big impact on, like a parking lot delivery at Conroe High School is a great example. If we have to wait for another board cycle or call a special meeting, I mean, sometimes that 72-hour notice period or even a month notice period may be detrimental. And so when we look at whether or not we can finish a job on time, so like if we were to finish Hines Elementary 30 days late, where are those kids that are coming to Hines Elementary going to go to school? So there's consequential damages to missing those dates that, again, may or may not be or controlled by us or the contractor. I mean, so when it's outside of everybody's control, somebody's got to pick up the bill for whatever those consequences are. So we're just trying to get ready for it so we can avoid those if they happen in the future.
I understand. And you're expecting this as kind of the worst case scenario. There's a strong chance that you may not spend much, if any at all, of this.
And that's true. And when we put our capital plan together for the 2019 bond, we did calculate escalation for each year. We use a baseline of our elementary school because we bid an elementary school every 12 months practically. I mean, so we have a lot of data that yet led us to what we decided was a 6% per year inflation rate for construction. What happened is we were under it in the beginning. we were over it for a little bit, and then from 21 to 22, it just went.
Sure.
Right, so the huge amount of escalation between 21 and 22 didn't level off for 23. At least it doesn't look like it's going to. So we're hoping and working, but we just want to make sure we're covered if we get into 23 and find ourselves between a rock and a hard place.
It's just
Where's the 18 million coming from?
the general account.
Oh, from general?
Yes.
It's just shifted.
Yes.
Yeah, you're shifting it to the, yes.
Yeah,
that's
Yeah, and
correct.
in that sense, as Mr. Rice mentioned, you know, some other districts, what you've seen is they've come back and used an additional bond program to cover those costs, which just, that's fine, but you're just taking on more of that debt. That's one of the advantages that we have is that you all have budgeted so well that we have money in the savings account to do this, to cover these overruns if we need it. It's proper use of those funds. It's one-time expenses. It doesn't take on new debt. It's cash on hand, so there'd be no, this is not taking on additional debt. This is using the cash on hand to cover that. So, and then, as you mentioned, hopefully we'll be able to return some of this money back. But, you know, the worst-case scenario in any of these situations would be to find ourselves in a spot with one of our contractors where they just say, we can't do it. We have to walk away because we can't lose this much money on a job. And then we have to rebid it, and the bid goes from here to here. What we're trying to do is maybe take the bid from here to here if we have to, but not go back and start over. And it'll be a rare case, as you mentioned, this is, we have to all be in this together, right? Our costs have gone up, and we understand that. At the same time, our contractors, the people that we work with, the people that want to work with us in the future have to understand that their profit margins are going to be impacted. That's just the reality of the current economic situation, and it's, we all have to feel the pain in this. Right?
Well, it's just for me, it's, you're pulling from the savings account,
Mhm.
and I want to make sure that you know, we just talk about it, make sure
Yep.
that this is kind of a big deal to pull money from the savings account, and I agree. I think this is great planning. This is a great job by us and by future boards to build up the money for this. I mean, we'd had a conversation about pulling out for tax rate, and we said no to that, and so I want to make sure that we talk about why we're pulling this out. So thank you for preparing for that.
So possibly my last question as a board member. If we don't do this, is there any way directly or tangentially this would impact the start date of the Dr. Chris Hines Elementary School?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, speaking to that project specifically, we did, when we brought forward the GMP for that project, we did anticipate an escalation allowance that's contained within that GMP specifically for the what-ifs of 21, 22 to 23. So that project, generally speaking, should be okay. But that was way before I knew it was going to be named after Dr. Hines. So that was us trying to prepare that project for the future.
It's a blessing.
Okay. Thank you. All right. I'll call the vote. All those in favor shall by uplifted hand. Any opposed by the same sign? Very good. Thank you, Mr. Foster. All right, Mr. Rice, or Ms. Garza to give us a financial report, receive our financial report.
Good evening, President Hubert, members of the board, and Dr. Knoll. It is my pleasure this evening to present the financial statements as of October 31st, 2022. First statement is our balance sheet. Presented here is the general fund, the debt service fund, child nutrition, and self-funded insurance. Total assets in the general fund are $667.8 million. This is our income statement. The income statement reflects the district's revenues and expenditures. Year-to-date in the general fund, we have collected $92 million in revenue. Our property taxes are starting to trickle in as property tax statements went out the latter part of October. We should see that activity pick up the months of November, December, and January. Total expenses in the general fund year-to-date is $52.4 million. It's our 2019 bond referendum, estimated to complete $125 million. This is the schedule where we will track the $18 million that was just approved. And if we need to access any of that funding, we will display it here by project so we can completely transparent as to where that money was moved, so we will make that adjustment to the schedule next month when we present. This is our self-funded insurance update. The month of October, the plan did perform fairly well. We had revenue of $4.4 million, expenditures of $3.5 million. Year-to-date, we're at revenue of $8.7 million and expenditures of $8.1 million for a surplus of just over $620,000. So our investments as of October 31st, par value at $613.8 million. The pools are yielding 3.24%. Our combined portfolio is at 3.01 and the 90-day T-bill 3.99. That is our update.
Okay, moving on to legal. A, consider termination of void employment contract of teacher Ora Ann Brown for failure to maintain a valid teacher certificate. Ms. Gladys.
This is self-explanatory. We
Yes.
discussed it a little bit. This is a teacher that we hired who lost her certificate. She left another district. There's a penalty-free resignation period when she signed a contract to leave a district that she did. And we were unaware of it as her certificate was not marked. But in September this year, the State Board of Education sanctioned her certificate for 1 year. So she no longer has a teaching certificate as a punishment for leaving the prior district. So that makes your contract void under state law, but state law also requires that you all actually take action to terminate it. There's no due process under Chapter 21. It's just the action that we're asking you to take tonight.
Okay, so we need a motion.
Mr. President, I move the Board of Trustees terminate the void employment contract of Ora Anna Brown as her teaching certificate was revoked by the State Board of Educators certification for breaking her employment contract in another school district.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor shall by the uplifted hand. Any opposed by the same sign? Motion carries. We do not have executive session today.
If I could add one item just to the calendar discussion, I just want to make this note. We're going to follow up with the elections office, because just noting and looking through this, because 2024 is a presidential election, the primaries will be, the primary date is March 5th, 2024. And sometimes those can be more dramatic than even, so we may need to consider that. We will get with the elections office just to see what the potential impact is on our schools as voting sites for that election, to see if, that's something that we need to consider as well, because I know that can be something we need to pay attention to in big years. So we'll just follow up with that. If we get that information, we can adjust that to what we put out to the public. I just want to make you aware of that is something we will follow up on.
Okay, very good.
Mr. President, would you take a motion to adjourn?
I will accept the motion. We have a second. Ray, you want to second that one?
Oh.
Really?
I'll second.
We are adjourned.